Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Tri-F Podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. And we've got a very big show today, actually. It's kind of crammed. We're going to start off, because this was a wild week, so we're going to start off with the House of David Episode 3 review. And that'll be our first thing. And then we will go to the JFK files being released. And I think there's going to be a running theme tonight with this episode, namely, how do I put this? A commentary on why empiricism stinks. Because before the JFK files were dropped, everybody had their opinions. And after those 30,000 JFK files were dropped, everybody still has the same opinions. So nothing was accomplished. We learned a little bit. Not sure it amounted to anything, but we'll talk about all that. And then afterwards, apparently the pyramids are some kind of battery, and there's like this giant set of pillars under the Giza pyramids and all this. It's pretty wild. And again, returning to our theory about why empiricism is crud, all the people who believed in aliens after seeing these structures were like, see, aliens. And all the people who believed in the flood, the pre-flood, were like, see, flood. So again, data points mean very little when it comes to people's worldview. And then finally, we're going to talk about 72 demons. And I guess one of them's named Ammon. So we thought that would run in line with Ammon Hillman, who we reacted to a week or so ago. So those are our big topics for the night. Trevor, how are you this evening?
I'm all right, but it looks like I'm blue on the live.
You are blue. It's your computer monitor, but
Oh.
I think blue is a good color on you, though.
All right, I'll be a Smurf this time.
That's all right. So, I guess sorry, go on.
Let's get into it. We got a lot of talking and chatting to do.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. I agree. So, what were your thoughts on David Episode 3? I thought it kind of dragged a little bit.
It was very drag. Yes.
Yeah.
I watched it last week or the week before, and then I rewatched it again today just to get a refresher, and I'm like, I've already seen this. So I just jumped around and skipped over, and it's like, oh man, that did drag on.
Yeah, there was a lot of... Saul's crazy. No, we mean it. Saul is really, really crazy. He is super duper crazy. He killed the servant boy. See, he's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was like you're just riding a clock now. I mean, which is irritating because it's not like the story of David is brief. You know,
no.
we don't need to have David face Goliath at the end of the show. Now, I don't know if you've watched ahead or not. I have not. But it's sitting here at episode 3. I'm thinking, oh no, they are going to drag Goliath's death until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? This is not necessary. Why would you do this? Just kill Goliath already and then go on to the fight between David and Saul. Because that's really what I want to see. I want to see Saul's madness, affect David. And I want to see this rapport between Jonathan and David get built. And I want to see Saul. And it's like, no. You're going to wait for episode 2. And so we are going to basically, in order to drag things out into season 2, we're going to basically tell you that Paul is insane, or Saul is insane about a half a dozen times. And they threw Jesse under the bus again.
Yeah. Big time.
Which was infuriating. It's like, would you stop?
Not to mention, they really reiterated that David was a bastard. And I'm like, no, I don't think it ever said anything about that.
Well, it's suspicious. It's not in the Bible at all. But it's like why they would do it is getting really weird because they keep harping on it. I understand things being filler, but they really harp on this thing. And it's not that interesting, to be just perfectly blunt. They seem
No.
to think this is like this dramatic turning point in David's life, and it's like, it's not. Like, if you understand anything about the Jewish culture, then you know that being the youngest kind of meant you were cannon fodder, for lack of a better way of putting it. The eldest was the one that got the majority of everything. And in that Old Testament world, it was kind of a bad deal to be the youngest. But from a biblical narrative, if you're looking for patterns and repetition of themes, which again, this is one of the reasons why I think the Bible is inerrant, because you've got these kinds of themes, even though these books, one story to the next, are thousands of years apart, and yet you keep seeing these patterns reemerge, which is always very interesting. And that pattern is David, being the youngest, is accepted over his older brothers in much the same way that Jacob is accepted over Esau. And so the younger becoming like the hero of the story over the elder is kind of one of the repeating themes. It's like the underdog archetype, you might say, or part of it. And so I felt like they really needed to, hone in on him being the youngest, and how, not necessarily that it's a dishonor, but that it's like, it's kind of it's a big deal for the eldest to be like lifted up and the youngest to be kind of overlooked. And instead they're doing this, no, he was a bastard thing. And I'm like, you don't need to do that. Like, there's plenty of drama just with him being the youngest kid.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, your thoughts. I'm just rambling now.
No, I'm right along there with you. I don't remember ever reading where there's this big, long, drug-out story before David was anointed.
Yeah.
Like, I've never read anywhere, personally, where Saul and David had this huge backstory. I just know that, like Jonathan and David, they got this build up to where they're going to become friends, but, like, I think they just knew each other and were friends.
Yeah. I'm going to make a prediction. I mean, I want to see this show succeed, but I don't think it's going to.
Really?
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to succeed, because it's making the mistake of hyping up things that nobody cares about, and then downplaying things that they should be given a lot more attention. The idea that David is the youngest is a pretty big deal in the story, because it's like God looks at the heart, doesn't judge man by his appearance. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
They didn't give that any attention at all, and it really should have gotten the attention. I don't know why they're going after Jesse as hard as they are, because it's like, dude, who do you think taught David about God and Yahweh? Like who do you think he got his instruction from? I mean, Jesse wasn't completely like useless. David was just the youngest, so he was out watching the sheep because he was too young to do anything else. It's not, they're making too much of that. And also, yeah, you want to see David and Jonathan become friends. You want to see David and Saul's interactions. Like, the character relationships, they need to be between David and Samuel and getting those two to bond. They need to be between David and Saul, and they need to be between David and Jonathan, because, Saul has to like David at first. In order for the story to work, they have to be tight, because David, becomes a part of the household. And for Saul, I'll be interested to see if they do this in the show.
How does David become part of the household in the Bible? I don't remember.
Well, he kills Goliath, and he gets honored, and he becomes a soldier. And then him and Jonathan become friends. And also, David plays the harp to soothe Saul because of the spirit.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So all of that's got to happen, which that's plenty. I mean, that's plenty. Like, I could see pushing the Goliath thing to kind of like a mid-season arc, but I'm starting to think, given how much they're killing time, they're going to push the David and Goliath thing to the very end. And I'm like, you guys are going to lose your show because of it. mean, they did get
Yeah.
renewed for season 2. I don't think they're going to get past season 2 because they're dragging too much. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong, though. We'll see if I'm wrong. I hope they make it. But people want to see Saul and David interact. They want to see Jonathan and David interact. They want to see Samuel and David interact. I don't care about Saul's wife. I mean, it was cool that she saw a prophet of Baal. It was nice to recognize that they are things. It was sad to see Samuel's partner get cut up by an ostrich bone. But
Right.
I knew that guy for 30 seconds.
Did that actually happen in the Bible?
No, they're just making that up.
No.
And just to twist the knife, they're like, oh, this guy's a father. He's got a child on the way. And this evil bad guy's going to cut him up. And we're going to do that for 20 seconds so that we know that the badman is the badman. Like, guys, I don't care. And this is the thing. I rant about this in my reviews constantly. This is about stakes. We know that Samuel dies of old age and lives through this whole thing. Why are we teasing this guy as if he's a potential threat? Anybody who has read the Bible or even has cursory knowledge of the Bible is not going to take that threat seriously. And so this poor guy getting cut up by an ostrich bone is just going to be perceived as a waste of time. You know, like, okay, like, well, you saw that scene, so let me ask you a question. Did you feel any anticipation and anxiety for the guy that gets cut up by the ostrich bone?
Yes.
You did.
But that's just because personally, I would not want to be cut up by an ostrich bone.
So you were empathizing, though. Let me ask you this. Did you think Samuel was in any danger?
There for a minute, I thought dude was going to try and, like, send curses.
Yeah, they did play that, didn't they?
Yeah, and then the girl that the queen hires, the agent of Baal or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to try curses on Samuel.
Yeah, see, that was a strange moment. That was a drop plot point, I thought.
Yeah, because
sorry, go on.
they could have really taken off with that, but
well, I'm a little nervous because it's like, guys, I mean, I think I get what you're trying to do, but please don't go full Gandalf and Saruman here. That's not what the prophets were. Let's not do that. I was starting to get a little nervous.
I mean, the only one that got anywhere close to Gandalf was probably Elijah. Or Elisha. Which one was it? Ask God to drop the pillar of fire.
Yeah, I know, it's Elijah. But I was like, we're not going to have like a soothsayer battle or something here, are we? Because that's not... That's kind of dualistic. Like, from a theological standpoint, like, God just wins and these things don't even compete. That's kind of the theme. There's not going to be... It's not going to be a close struggle. You know what I mean?
No.
It's not like Samuel's going to be like tormented and he's going to have to overcome some demon. Like, that's not how that works. Like, you pray and then God deals with it because dualism is crap. The evil is in no way, shape, or form equal. Yeah, evil's not equal to God. We're not an equal countervailing force to God. That's Eastern dualism. That's not scripture. And I'm a little nervous they're going to go that way. But it was kind of a drop plot point because, yeah, they have I know what scene you're talking about. They have the grass blowing, and they have Samuel looking around going, you know. And then it's like a cut. You do a dramatic jump cut, and then nothing happens. Yeah. And Saul's like, you know, and it was a little silly because you have all this buildup, and they tease like they're going to go after Samuel. Samuel doesn't seem to know anything happened at all, other than the wind blew really hard for like 30 seconds. Like, oh, what was that? And I'm like, wait, are you redirecting the curse back at Samuel? Well, why didn't you show it?
Yeah.
And then at the end of the show, they have Saul sitting in his throne, and he looks perfectly fine. Like, it was a silly scene. Like, the end of episode 3 was just ridiculous because it was like, he's sitting in his chair, and he's not really doing anything. But they've got the intense music, like, dun, 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 dun. And he's like, this is how you know it's bad. Like, Saul's the bad man. I'm like, well, I knew that before. Like, is he super duper crazy now? It's like, I'm confused. Like, Was Saul unable to sit in a chair before
No,
the prophetess did whatever she did? Like, what was the point behind the scary music?
I think what they're going for is that he's gone mad. That's his throne and no one else's. And so he will do whatever it takes to keep it.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the narrative they're going for.
I agree. I think, but I felt they were trying to connect it with what that prophetess did, but they didn't show anything beyond just playing scary music. Yeah. So it was still confusing.
Well, I mean, the scary music is sometimes half the show.
Yeah, but that's kind of lazy writing, in my opinion. It's like when you're relying on like your visuals and your music cues and everything to make your point, it's like you're being lazy. Like you need to set the scenes up. You need to actually show things happening. You need to have action and reaction, cause and consequence. You can't go, oh, we're going to redirect the curse and then not redirect the curse or not show the curse being redirected. Like the way that should have went was, I'm going to redirect the curse. And then somebody, whether it's Samuel, which it shouldn't have been Samuel, that'd have been really stupid, but somebody else gets hit with this thing, and then it looks like you need a scene to establish that, and then it looks like Solomon is okay, and then of course in the next episode he's going to end up being worse or whatever. That's how that needed to go. Like it looks like it's redirected, and then it looks like the curse worked, and then in the next episode, things are worse than ever now. Like, that's how that needed to be structured. Instead, it's like, oh, are we going to do something to Samuel? Anybody who's read the story is like, no, you're not. Don't even tease me with that. That's ridiculous. And then Samuel's like, or Saul's sitting in his chair, and everybody's like, why is the music playing? Like, what? I guess he's better, but we're playing scary music? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it was weird. It just didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. The other note I had was, I'm starting to get strong woman vibes from this show.
Oh.
just a little bit. And I'm like, guys.
I was going to ask you about that. Did the queen have as much power as they're giving her?
No. And we don't even know, to the full extent, like, what the sickness was. It was an evil spirit that attacked Saul. So that doesn't, it was a cool idea to have him swinging the sword around and not knowing what's real and what's not real. I mean, that's okay. But there's a hierarchy. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's a hierarchy for that sort of thing. Like, Abner would have been a little more assertive, or Jonathan would have started taking control. Because, it's a patriarchal society. Like, the guys aren't going to listen to the women, be that right or wrong. They're just not. Abner is not taking orders from Saul's wife. That's not happening. Like, you have exceptions, you have Jezebel, but just as a norm, that wouldn't have been a thing. But, there, and again, one or two characters like that is fine, but it's getting to the point where it's like everybody. And I know what they're doing. It's that freaking commie Hollywood checklist thing. They don't even let you tell a good story unless you do the commie Hollywood checklist. And if you look, David's biggest influence is his mom. Jesse can't be a good influence on his wife. It has to be his mom. Samuel's getting, advice from I'm assuming that other girl was his wife, but I don't know. But Samuel's having his moment of doubt, and the woman has to pick him up. And then Saul has his, it's the same, it's the repetition. They're repeating that theme. And it's not because they actually think women do good things too. Everybody knows women do good things too. And if you wanted to do a pro-feminist story and that was your main focus, somebody tell the story of Deborah, please, okay?
Yeah, or Esther.
Yeah, or Esther. There's a lot of other characters that you could do if you're wanting to push a feminist narrative. You don't have to shoehorn it into other stories. But that checklist, it's like a man cannot have his own initiative. There always has to be a strong woman pushing. It is a checklist thing. And so it's just it's a trope. Even if it wasn't a checklist thing, I think it is. I think it's, producers require that sort of thing. But even if that wasn't the case, it is a very tired trope and they need to drop it. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm wrong and there is no checklist, it's still a really redundant trope.
What's a trope?
Just it's like an archetype, like Boy on the Farm, like Liar Revealed, like these story arcs where you just see them over and over and over and over. And I'm like, guys, 3 strong women in the same story for 3 episodes, that's too much. You're getting repetitive. Stop. Like, back off. Like, 1 strong woman, maybe 2. Don't give me 3. Don't make every blasted leader in this series taking his cues from a woman. Stop it. Like, 1 is fine. 2 is tolerable. Like, 3 for 3 episodes, calm down. Just calm down.
Calm down, just calm down.
Yeah, it just gets redundant after a while. So there was that. But we'll see. We'll see if that it's not a big deal if it like stops here. You know what I mean? And for example with Saul, it makes perfect sense, like narratively speaking, for the wife to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that for Saul's wife, that fits. I don't think Abner's going to be scared of her. They kind of jumped the shark by making Abner take orders from her. But to make her assertive, make her cleaning up after Saul's mess, like there was that scene where she consoles the mom who lost the kid and then gives basically the implication is she pays the family off. And she's kind of secretly running the kingdom and using Saul as a mouthpiece, more or less. Yeah. That's fine. It's just she wouldn't be that like overt with Abner. Like that was just a little too much. But she would have had, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Abner would have been loyal to her, I suppose. But I felt like that was a little much. But that aside, having her more assertive did make sense. It's just Samuel having his weak moment and then getting comforted was a little weird. And then this whole, really the main issue, I guess we keep coming back to this, the main problem really is making David the bastard. Like, that is starting to really affect the story in a bad way.
Yeah.
In numerous ways. Like, it's not good. It's starting to really cramp things.
Yeah, and I felt like they really, really tried to hone in on that on this one.
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I'm texting Jess to make sure our audio is not echoing or something stupid.
Well, I've unmuted it a few times this time, and it seems to be okay on my end, from what I can tell.
Great. All right, because it's like every time we open the show lately, it's been frustrating.
Something's messed up.
Yeah, something's messed up. So, all right, but if they back off now, the whole strong woman thing isn't going to be that big a deal. But we're in episode 3. We've already got 3 central female figures, And you got to remember, even in episode 1, there's kind of this implication that a lot of this is going to get told from Saul's daughter's perspective. Jess says, sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And I will say, thank you, Jess. So, if they stop it here, it'll be fine. But, you've got, like I was saying, this looks like it's going to be from David's wife's perspective, or a lot of this is going to be from David's wife's perspective. At least they open the narrative up from her point of view.
Yeah.
So it's just getting it's just pushing it. Valley of the Giants scene was good. I liked the witch.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
That was I enjoyed that.
To give Goliath like a backstory instead of him just showing up.
Yeah, well, showing the Philistines like making the alliance with the Giants.
Yeah,
that was a good touch. I did appreciate that. It did create a plot hole, though. As much as I liked it, it created a plot hole. Because you've got that town that gets attacked immediately after the Amalekites, right?
Right.
The implication is the Giants were working with the Philistines even then. And then, really? And then the guards attack David and his brother in the previous episode. But now the Philistine king in this episode is making a deal with Goliath. So implying that they weren't working together before, which I thought kind of created a plot hole.
Well, didn't in the last episode, one of his advisors was worried about the Israelites walking all over him?
Yeah, no, the Philistines were afraid of the Israelites, but that big iconic scene that they've been pushing with the giant bloody handprint on the tower.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so they were implying in that scene that the giants attacked the town, but then it's Philistines, that attack David and his brother, and that seems to imply that the giants and the Philistines are already working together. But in this episode, they're just setting up the allegiance, so that's confusing.
No, I think they said like 1 year earlier or something like that.
No, I don't think so, because
no, that was in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right after the David getting hit scene. That's right.
Yep. So it's a plot hole, because they said, they implied with this attack on the town that the giants and the Philistines are already working together. And then in this episode, the king is just setting up the allegiance, or the allyship, partnership, let's say. So, I mean, not a big deal, but because, if you wanted to write for the writers, you could just say that, the Philistines the giants attacked the town and the Philistines moved in later.
Yeah.
If you wanted to just try to fix it in your headcanon. But that was a plot hole, in my opinion.
Plot twist.
All right, what's next? I didn't like what they did with Samuel's vision when David gets anointed. That whole weird jump flash cut thing where you've got like the lion face and all this stuff happening. Yeah.
You didn't like that?
No, I thought that was a little hokey. I thought they should have kept it more mysterious. I thought that was a moment where they should have downplayed it a little bit. In my opinion, yeah. You liked it though, huh?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting.
That's interesting. Okay, well,
because
that's subjective.
It ties in, with where it talks about David was the Lion of Judah or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think they were just, going off that.
I thought it was a little hokey, but that's okay. And that's a subjective taste thing. If you liked it, I can't really refute it. So, I just thought, I don't know if the Almighty talks through disjointed visions. Maybe.
He does.
Does he?
He does to some people. Yeah.
Who am I? Who am I to say that he doesn't? I just thought that's a little weird, but okay. Okay.
Well, some people he talks to them through their dreams. Others he talks to them through just the word.
Mm-hmm.
Just them reading the Bible, they get revelations, And then other people, he literally has to show up in their bedroom and be like, hey, it's me. Hi.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
So there's all kinds of stories that God shows up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're fine with it, I thought it was a little much, but if you're good with it, I can't refute it. I have got Jesse being this Jesse thing.
You're really on the Jesse thing, huh?
It just keeps getting brought back up. It's like the first couple episodes, I'm like, okay, they're not saying this is actually how the Bible depicts things. It's not a big deal. But we're in episode 3 and they're still harping on it. I'm like, guys, you need to stop. And I've got this in my notes multiple times, so it's starting to really bug me.
My thoughts on it is, this is me thinking, they might be trying to tie Jesse to when David messed up. That's where he got it, was like father, like son.
That's an interesting theory. That's a good catch, sir. That could be. You could be right.
This is my thought.
That I hadn't thought of that, but that could be what they're gonna do. They might be trying to draw a parallel there.
I don't remember where it says, but it talks about flesh of my flesh.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, like father, like son type.
Yeah, no, man, that's a good thought. That's a good thought. You might be right about that.
What's the word? Not flashback, but like flash forward.
Foreshadowing.
What's that word?
Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing, yeah.
So that's just my thought.
Well, I think that's all I've really got on this. We'll pick up episode 4 next time to end this episode, or this part 1. Jessica Lambert says, based on a true story is never based on a true story. I agree. Usually the true story is there once was a guy. So
it's more like biased on a true story.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think the bias is a little bit necessary because, you got to interpret, you got to read some inferences into the text to create that story.
Yeah. Textual criticism.
A little bit, in a way, in a backhanded, in a sort of way, yeah. Like, personal reader inference, basically. So I mean, it's not formal textual criticism, but, people have to kind of put the pieces together in their head, so. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm like starting to get a little nervous. Like, I've liked a lot of what I've seen. I've liked the blood. I've liked the fighting. I like that we're not doing the, pacifism Christianity in this one. This is very violent. I do like that. So there's a lot of good things going for this show, but I'm starting to get a little antsy with some of the
analytical.
Well, I'm just seeing political deals. You know what I mean? Deals being made. I'm starting to suspect. I don't know.
More Hollywood than biblical.
Yeah, it's like Amazon. And again, I don't know, but it's like, yeah, certain things have to be included in the story for it to be considered a quote unquote good story. You know what I mean? So I'm starting to get a little antsy. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not giving up yet. So we're gonna call it good on that one. So we're not leaving. This is just the end of part 1. So this will conclude our review for David, House of David, episode 3. We'll do episode 4 next week.
If you're lucky.
If we're lucky. If we can. And we'll see how it goes. So with all that said, this is the end of part 1. We're going on to part 2. So this is just for editing. But guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And do you want to lead us into part 2, Mr. Trevor?
Part 2?
Yeah.
Part 2.
Or should I redeliver that delivery? I felt that was a little canned. Should be more emphatic with my delivery at the end for the end of part 1.
That's right.
All right. I'll do it one more time because I didn't like the way I said that. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
There. Okay. I'll be thinking about. I might. Yeah. Anyway. So, do you want to lead us into the next part of this, or do you want me to do it?
I'm gonna try something real quick.
What happened to your bed or your background? Never
Is it blurred?
Fear.
Is that better though on that? No, that's way worse. Okay.
Yeah, you're good, man. Jen says, never fear.
Oh, hey.
Jiminy is here. Hello.
Jinami.
Jimmy is here.
Or is it Jinamai?
It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So,
welcome in.
All right. So do you want to sign us in, Mr. Trevor?
Are we talking about the JFK thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hold on. Welcome. There we go. All right, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready, sir.
Welcome to Faith Fiction and Folklore, or the podcast, Tri-F podcast, where we try not to mess things up. And today we're going to talk about the JFK files that were released. And Gary, how are you?
I am all right, sir. It's been a wild week, but I'm here. How are you?
I'm all right. A little tired, but ready to look these files over and see what we got.
All right. Yes. Well, so to start us off, there were supposed to be about 80,000 JFK files released this week. We've gotten 30 of them. So apparently we're still bickering with the FBI somewhat, but 30,000 is still quite a bit. And
wait. 30,000, but we only got 30?
No, 80,000, but we only got
80,000.
30. So there's still
Like
50,000 documents to go.
Okay.
It's quite nuts. But
Are we going? Are we going over all 30,000 tonight?
absolutely not. So,
Okay.
what I was saying at the beginning of the show, though, I will reiterate. This is a perfect example of why empiricism is crap. Because before the files were released, everybody had their opinion about what happened. After the files were released, everybody still has the same opinion. So these new data points have not really changed everybody's basic belief about what went on. So,
Jen said, sorry about that, had to leave, missed what just happened.
oh, it's no problem. We're about to talk about the JFK files. So we'll see how that goes. So, but let me start off by saying what we've learned so far that is a little bit different. There was a dude, I believe his name was Gary Underhill. He said that there was a clique in the CIA trying to take over the government, and he was later killed. And if I recall Benny Johnson's account of what happened correctly, he was shot in the back of the head 12 times, and the judge ruled it a suicide. Sounds familiar. But
Who was shot in the back of the
this
head?
guy, I think his name was Gary Underhill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So apparently Gary Underhill was had said he'd uncovered a clique in the CIA that was overthrowing the government, more or less, and he was, unalived. Let's say.
Okay.
Yeah. The judge declared it not murder, which is basically the point.
So wait, how does this Gary guy tie into JFK?
Well, he's saying that this clique in the CIA is the one that planned to kill JFK. That's the gist.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So,
Mr. Baggins?
so Jen says, I think Hillary took out his son, though. Might have, yeah.
Hillary has taken out many sons.
Allegedly! Jessica Lambert says, Mr. Baggins? No, Underhill. I know, I thought the same thing, but I wasn't going to comment on that because I thought it would have been disrespectful, Jess. So, yeah, thanks for that. So, anyway.
Wait, isn't Underhill in your book?
Underhill? No, I don't have a character named Underhill in my book or books.
I'm confusing myself now.
So anyway, let's see what else. Well,
Sorry, I squirreled you.
yeah, I'm like getting all thrown off. I got to remember. I'm trying to remember everything that happened today before we actually get into it. So that was the first thing. Was Gary Underhill was unalived, and then the next thing was. Why don't you read Jen's comments really quick while I try
I'm
to
not
remember
sure I
where I'm
want
at.
to.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's just read here. Mr. Baggins joke. JLB wanted to bang the wife. LBJ, that is. Jessica Lambert says geek alert. Did you hear he wanted to spank her? LMFAO. It was Frodo's pseudonym. I know who Underhill was, Jessica. Yes, I know.
don't.
And then LMFAO. So, okay. Gary Underhill. Not Frodo Baggins. Anyway. So that happened. And then there was a memo. Somebody did some research on the CIA. It was part of JFK's staff. He was like, CIA's out of control. They're basically a shadow government unto themselves. They need to be destroyed. So JFK's people were telling him he needs to get rid of the CIA. The CIA's basically gone rogue. So that we didn't have that memo before. And so that happened. And then apparently Lee Harvey Oswald was not a weird kind of loner guy on the periphery that was just kind of a loser that wanted to get fame. You know the story about the typical lone gunman story. And he was a communist wannabe, he was a CIA wannabe, blah, 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 blah. No, he was a CIA agent. He was actually somebody who worked for the CIA in an official capacity.
I thought that one was not a secret.
Well, the account that I remember was that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone gunman. He
Oh,
was somebody who was just kind of like a nerd who wanted to kill a president so he could be cool or some stupid thing. They probably rolled that back when they figured out nobody bought it. But now we've got confirmation that he actually officially worked for the CIA, which I don't believe we knew before. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think we knew. I don't think we knew that before. What happened is he got pulled out of the army in Japan, and they shipped him to Russia, and they shipped him to Cuba. Now, if you mix that with Roger Stone's account of what LBJ was saying at the time, LBJ says it's, somebody asks who could have done this to the president, and Lyndon Johnson apparently was like, communists, Russian communists, son. Well, nobody caught Oswald yet, so how did LBJ know? Well, it's because he knew the narrative they were going to set up, with Lee Harvey Oswald. So basically what they were doing is they were shipping Oswald to Russia and Cuba to make it look like he was a communist, but they were telling Oswald, hey, you're one of our guys now, and we've got a special job for you. You're going to kill the president for us. So that, they were going to throw away this guy, basically. But he worked for them, and he thought he was on their team.
Do you think they used any, brainwashing tactics?
From what I understand about this, I don't think they would have had to. If he just thought he was one of the boys, and he was, working for the government, and he thought he was, part of the team, then yeah, he wouldn't have suspected of being a patsy. But here's what's interesting. So, before I get into that, because now we're getting into more speculative stuff, let's see, is there anything else that... There was a few other things that were learned. Basically, the CIA is a bunch of perverts. They've been using sex operations since the 50s, which isn't surprising.
No, that's not surprising at all.
They're weirdos. So
they make money somehow.
Yeah. The only thing that I really got irritated on this week was everybody was really trying to make a big deal about Mossad. I think people were trying to make the connection that Mossad had some part to play in killing JFK, but
who's Mossad?
This would be Israel's CIA, basically.
Oh, okay.
And so, basically, Israel wanted a nuclear weapon. JFK didn't want to give it to him, and so Mossad was supposedly mad about that. And they were like, well, see, this must have been the motivation for Israel being involved in killing JFK. And I'm like, that can't possibly be the case, because these records apparently also indicate that the CIA helped smuggle uranium to Israel. So Israel got what it wanted. So why would they kill the president after they got what they wanted? So that doesn't make any sense. So I think people were kind of trying to reach and say Israel had something to do with it.
Well, there's some people that say that even today, Israel had something to do with it.
Yeah, I know.
On everything.
I know, yeah. And I'm going to say it's anti-Semitism more than actually any sort of legitimate concern about Israel. I mean, it kind of bugs me because I'm like, I don't want to be I don't want people hating me because of what the CIA does. I don't agree with the CIA. I don't like what the CIA does. So why would I go blame the Jewish people for the stupidity of Mossad?
Yeah.
I just kind of, but they try to say Mossad bad, therefore Israel bad. And I'm like, well, you follow that logic through. I mean, CIA bad, therefore America bad. I mean, be consistent. Yeah. So, all right, let's see. We can catch up on chats here.
Jen.
How about you read them really quick? Because I need to relight my cigar.
Let's see. Okay, no proto. Anyway, people use the information to confirm their previous biases. I think Life knew it was going to go down. Come on, that phone call is crazy with her and LBJ. Yep, Cuba, they met up. Yep, the traffickers are being closed down and they're gonna go crazy.
I hope so.
When you catch a bunch of businessmen in sexual situations, blackmail works. It's wonders.
Yep.
Very, very well said.
I completely agree.
Yeah. I've just personally learned, don't trust any 3-letter organizations.
Let me ask a question just to pause it to you. I'm starting to wonder, do we even need these kinds of espionage-type organizations at all? Do we really need an FBI? Do we really need a CIA? Is it so blasted important that we turn Hollywood like Israeli actresses into prostitutes and blackmail kings with them? Like, is that really necessary? Do we really need to do that?
Well, I mean, they started out with good intentions, you know.
I don't know that, but I hope.
Well, that's why I did this.
Yeah, good intentions. There we go.
But it's, you know, they start out saying, yeah, we'll dismantle it after we get done with good intentions, and then they just keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jen says nope, assuming the question with the needing the agencies, and then she says, I'm with you on that one. WEF, WHO, CCP, or B. Yep, we got way too many acronyms. It's getting hard to follow. So I'm ready to get rid of these guys. Like, I don't think they're necessary.
Yeah,
I think it's becoming incredibly apparent. But okay, so we've done that. I wanted to just so people can find them on their own before we move on, because I think I've covered everything that I can recall off the top of my head as to what was found this week. And so it wasn't a nothing burger. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like the Epstein files where you got a trapper keeper with like nothing. Like, we did learn stuff, and you know, to be fair, they were always going to, if there's like, it's not like you're going to have a silver bullet or, you know, the smoking gun for whatever happened. You know, they're going to destroy anything too definitive, but they do want to keep all this stuff. I don't know why. They're pack rats, I guess. So but I think they were scared to let this stuff out because it does show, it gives us a sense of their MOP, like their method of operation.
yeah.
You know, it does confirm that these guys are basically a blackmail racket. They put people in suggestive situations and they blackmail them, and you know, Epstein is not new. And we shouldn't be conducting our business that way. So, Let's see. Jen says, LOL, right. They have no good intentions. Sadly, I agree. And then Jessica Lambert says, Sun Tzu states espionage is an important part of a successful military. Right? Sun Tzu does say that. But I would add the caveat that this is during war. And
who's Sun Tzu?
Sun Tzu wrote the book The Art of War. So he was from the Warring States in ancient China, the 5 warring states, I believe. Anyway, so he wrote a book about combat, and he does talk about espionage being an important part of, you know, military campaigns. And so, yeah, you need to keep an eye on what your enemies are doing. You don't need to turn, you know, Israeli starlets into prostitutes to blackmail people. Like, that's not necessarily espionage. You know, espionage basically means watch people, keep an eye on them, gather data. It doesn't mean put people in suggestive situations and then say, do this or we're going to show these naked pictures of you. Like, that's to me, that's not really the same thing. And I don't think you can justify the moral necessity for that kind of behavior. It's like, if that's what it takes to win a war, is it really worth winning? You know, that would be mine.
Why even start the war in the beginning?
Yeah, and it's also predicated on the idea that in order for me to win, you have to lose. It's like we have to like set people up to fail from the outset. We got to get advantage. We got to take advantage of the kings before they do anything bad. We got to blackmail government officials before these people can actually, you know, have industry or advance. Like, it's predicated on the idea of sabotaging everyone so we can be number one. And I'm like, I don't think we have to do things that way.
And then number 2 and 3 becomes completely obsolete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everybody's basically a vassal state to you because you've got naked pictures of everybody. But anyway, Jessica says, right, and then Jen says, be where they ain't.
Beware who ain't.
I don't know, but anyway, yeah, Jen, you can clarify that for us here in a minute. You choose.
I'll be in the spiritual realm where nobody ain't.
Well, hopefully I can just keep hiding in Missouri. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Let's see. Okay. Next, let's go and actually show the website where you can find the records, because I don't think I've seen anybody actually do that. If you want to look at them for yourself, yeah.
Gov.net.
Yeah, so Jen says, she's clarifying, she says the enemy. So be where the enemy isn't. I agree. Like, that was actually when I was taking karate lessons. Not karate. They'd kill me for saying it. Martial arts. You know, when they were talking about when it comes to a punch, what might the guy say? He'd say, no be there. No be there. You know, just don't be in the way of the punch. That was his thing. Jessica Lambert asks, how would you use espionage responsibly? Don't use Hollywood actresses for sex. Like, espionage, you have your spies, you watch people, you listen, you gather information, you gather data. You don't need to blackmail people and trap them in bad behavior so you can gain leverage. That's not really espionage. Espionage is knowing where your enemy is going to be, knowing what their resources are. Like, it's collecting info and having more info on the other guy. Like, you know, that you can use in a war potentially. You don't need to, like, be entrapping people in situations to make that happen. You just need to have your regular spies planted in the right positions. You know, because people will talk on their own. You know, you don't need to set people up like that. I just think it's a bridge too far. Maybe that's naive, but I don't think you need to do that. So, it seems unnecessary to me.
It's naive.
Well, I think we've gotten so cynical that it's like we require doing bad. Like, we assume that we have to be just as bad as the bad guys to win.
Yeah.
You know,
or be worse than the bad guys.
Yeah, or be worse than the bad guys. We gotta drop to the bottom of the barrel faster than the other guy to win a war, and I just don't agree with that philosophy. So
Jen says, and on the naked picture thing, now it just depends on who's naked and who that person is with.
Right. Because, like, if it's a kid, then you can throw them in jail, which is another thing that they're doing. But it's it's awful. It's a mess. So anyway, off that horrible subject brought up. So, let's see. So this is, you can go to, nationalarchives.gov. Anna Paulina Luna has a link to this on her Twitter account. And we pulled up, so here's the PDFs that they've got out so far. It says here only 2,000 entries. There's supposed to be 30,000 apparently. But
we should probably put this link in the live so people don't have to go searching.
Can we do that? Do you want
in
me
the
to
description,
copy and paste
I think.
the link in the chat?
I think you can put it in the description for sure.
Okay, let me try copy and pasting the link in the chat. Will it let me do that, or am I going to get banned from my own channel?
Well, I've got it open. You should be able to do it.
Yeah, there we go. It's in.
There you go.
They didn't
It's the
ban
link.
me, so I think we're okay. Jen says, yes, agree. We have to be better than the enemy. Absolutely. So, yes. I agree with that. So, here's an example of one of the documents. By the way, this is apparently some kind of receipt or record of Lee Harvey Oswald traveling to, what do you say, Helsinki?
Hell's Kitchen?
No, Helsinki. Yeah, discussion between member senior division concerning Oswald's stay in Helsinki. Helsinki trip, USSR consultant. So this is back when he was in Russia. And you can see, I don't know what this chart is. Somebody smarter than me needs to look at this. But yeah, this is something they stamped and tracked. At 900 hours this morning, I talked with Frank Freeberg recently, returned OS Helsinki, Rewarn Commission, inquiry concerning the timetable of Oswald's stay in Finland in October in 1959, including his content with the Soviet consultant there. Copy of the commission letter in 25th May 64 and state cable of 22nd May 64 attached. So, let's see. So this seems to be in reaction to the Warren Commission inquiry, which makes me a little suspicious. But it goes on like that. You've got a lot of different documents. Let's see if we can pull up another one here. So we'll close that. And let's just pull up another one at random. You got another timetable here. So this is Suriname. So this is some Russian individual. Yeah. On one Roman Fredrovich Didkov, born 28 March 1927 in Oransk, USSR, and his wife, Velasa Nikolvania Dedkov, born 31st December 1930 in Minsk, USSR, were listed as applicants for entry visas to India sometime prior to April 1962. And so, yes, bunch of great stuff. Jin's like, we can look it up. And she's like, damn, that handwriting is shit. I agree. It's not great. Okay, so to go along with my point about empiricism, though, and why empiricism is a crappy worldview, let's listen to Glenn Beck and what he took from this. Because after everything I've heard this week, I'm like, oh yeah, the CIA freaking killed him. Like, there's no question. You know, like no question in my mind at any rate. That CIA was involved and that our government is actively has the power to kill presidents. Unelected officials have the ability to kill your elected president if they want to. That's not incompetence, that's malice. But let's look at what Glenn Beck is saying. And I like Glenn Beck. I need to preface this by saying, if it wasn't for Glenn Beck, I never would have read the Federalist Papers. I never would have read anything from the founders. Like, he was a big influence for me, especially in 2010. So I have a lot of good things to say about Beck. Boy, he got on my nerves with this. If this is the right video, I'm assuming it is. So, let's take a look.
Wait, why would we listen to him if he got on your nerves?
Because I want to demonstrate how even in light of all these facts, people are still going, oh, the government's just incompetent. They're just stupid. And I'm like, no, they're not stupid. They're evil. But even in light of everything that we've learned, people are still saying incompetence. And they will go to their grave saying incompetence.
They're stupidly evil.
Yes, they are stupidly evil.
Because I'm going out to a shooting range because we have the only gun that we know of that is an exact copy of the gun Oswald used to kill President Kennedy, because it's a real weird hodgepodge of guns. It was the one that killed Kennedy. Has a different scope on it, very rare, very hard to find. I think might even be a Russian scope. I can't remember. The scope is from someplace. There's parts of this gun that are from someplace else. And so, you know, we wanted to get, because we don't have the real gun, we wanted to get one just like it. It took us 2 years to assemble this gun and to find all of the parts. So it's an exact copy of it. I'm going out to a shooting range today, and we're going to do our first test. I've got some sharpshooters with me, and we'll post some of this on X as we do it live today. But then you'll be able to see all of it, because we're going to another shooting range hopefully next week to get moving targets to see if they can make these shots. But it should be interesting today. You can watch for it on X, and then that'll be next week, as we go through everything that has been released on the JFK files, because it's going to take us a while. Anybody who says, they don't have any idea. 80,000 documents are being released. So you know, Jason is here. He's our chief researcher for the TV show. 80,000 documents. How long would that have taken us to go through for staff? What do we have, 8 people on it right now?
Yeah.
How long, without Grok or AI assist, how long would that take us?
We'd still be basically taping our eyelids open and
Right.
still staring at it. We wouldn't even be close to attempting to be even, like a quarter of the way through it.
Okay. So yesterday, describe the process. What happened?
So they started releasing the documents. Well, I thought they were going to be delayed, but they finally started coming through around like 5 or 6 Central, something like that. So we immediately went to work. Initially, there was 113 pages of these documents, but on each different page, there was about 10 PDFs per page. And those PDFs had multiple pages within the PDFs.
Right.
So all in all, it was probably around 12 to 1,300 pages of stuff. Wow. It was insane. But to go through this now in the modern age, all we have to do is go through, download each little different PDF, and start feeding that into whatever artificial intelligence program that you want to use.
Right.
And then if you know the right prompts, you can start looking for things that are relevant, things that are new, things that contradict old disclosures. It was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah. So
Okay, can I just
He's a Star
stop
Wars
and
fan.
comment? Can I just stop and comment about how stupid that is? Like, that is
How so?
so because AI is not that good. It's not that freaking good. Jen made the point that handwriting is shit. Yes, and because it's shit, the computer isn't going to be able to read it.
Not properly, anyway.
Yeah, it isn't going to be able to read it properly. So you're going to miss all sorts of facts and details if you're, relying on AI. Like, that's absurd. That's absurd. And so it is just so, like, I understand that nobody wants to go through 30,000 documents, but that is just patently stupid. You are going to miss stuff if you're relying on those goofy computers. Like, I've done research like that for my job where you're scanning PDFs, and I know from personal experience that those computers miss words all the time. Like,
Yep.
There's no way that would possibly work. So I just want to point that out. Don't do that. But anyway, you want to read some of these comments, Mr.
What
Trevor?
just said?
Starting where we left off.
Let's see. We can look it up. It is scary. What are they truly hiding, says Jen, or suppressing? And then Jessica Lambert says, USSR tracked everything back then, but sometimes records were lost if the government didn't want them to get out. So this is interesting because they either didn't think it was important or they were or are the masters of the long espionage game. And then Jen says, someone will for sure. And then Jess says, AI degrades if you put too much info in at one time.
Yeah, it scrambles the information. Scrambles stuff so that you can't use it. So this is a terrible idea. I just, AI is just so stinking hyped. It is so stinking hyped up by everybody, but it can't do that much. It just, I could go on. It's just I'm gonna go on a rabbit trail if I keep going. So we're just gonna keep playing this.
We are, one of the things that is very important to me is the ethics of using AI. And I don't know if a lot of people even care about it, but I do, and my staff does deeply. We've had really heartfelt, round after round of what's ethical, what's not ethical. So, we are not AI powered. Our research team is not AI powered. It is powered by people who use AI. And there's a big difference in that. As you will start to see as days go by and more people just use AI to do all their thinking. We use it as a tool to go through to be able to do things we just couldn't do before. 80,000 documents, as you said, it's 1,200 documents last night. 80,000 will take us forever. Just the 1,200 that we went through that was the first batch would have taken us weeks to go through. Yeah. So it's a very big help. But we also then go back and check everything.
Drowning in
look, an ad.
chaos. Not sure where to
Ooh,
begin.
I like
At Popular Pays, we have over 100.
A lot of people don't know that I'm a painter, and I need you to do 5 at
add to the
relieffactor.com.
AI BS.
So Relief Factor, that's his sponsor, Relief Factor.
So let me go
What
through.
do they relieve?
Jen says LOL, and then she says that's sad people use it to think. Yeah, because it's like, they don't know what they're looking for. Because obviously, like what we're saying, the CIA is going to delete anything that's too much of a smoking gun. They're still scared to have these documents released, though, because it shows how they operate. Like, it reveals something. We don't know exactly what. And again, we're not reasonably expecting a smoking gun here. They would have destroyed that. But it is going to give us some idea how they operate. But we don't know what that looks like. So, you have to actually read it, because the computer only knows to look for what you want to look for as a presupposition. But if we have no idea what we're looking for, then we need to go through it ourselves and see if anything actually pops out at us. But how would you do that? How would you program an AI to look for signs that the CIA assassinated JFK? What do you type into ChatGPT? Give me proof from these 30,000 documents the CIA ordered JFK killed. Like, obviously that's not going to work. So you need people to actually look for hints and start putting pieces together. So AI is not going to be any good for that. That requires deductive reasoning. AI is a probability generator. It's not going to deductively reason anything.
Yeah. Jen said, no, it seems like they ask it how to think today. Some people are that weak on this earth.
Yeah. Well, they don't like to think. Some people just don't want to, I guess.
I like to think backwards.
That sounds horribly confusing.
Or confusing horribly.
Yes. So you talk like
Yes.
Yoda in your mind?
No.
This podcast is grueling, it is. So
Yoda talks like me in his mind.
Right, okay. All right.
Some of
It's
the
like-
things that I know.
It's just like AI is actually IA.
AI is actually IA. That
Sorry.
sounds horrible.
Intelligence artificial.
Okay.
That were found yesterday. You tell me also anything that I'm missing here on what was found. But there's a couple of things. One document is a memo on a release passage from a political magazine, Ramparts, from 1967, about an intelligence agency, a CIA informant, and former U.S. Army Captain John Garrett Underhill.
Garrett
And he
Underhill.
wrote,
Garrett,
the day
not
after
Gary.
the assassination. I'm sorry. The story wrote, the day after the assassination, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry.
Or
Late
Gary.
in the evening, he showed up at the home of a friend in New Jersey. He was very agitated. The passage starts, a small clique within the U.S. was responsible for the assassination, he confided to his friend. He would be afraid. He was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, he was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. Coroner ruled it a suicide. The note was known, what was said on intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. The passage has been shared last night over and over again. That's probably one of the bigger passages that came out, that was shared on X and everything else. But as people were like, "That's already been released." Yeah, but we didn't actually have the document. Another document that was making the rounds. One line in the document stated that the KGB watched Oswald closely while he was in the USSR, but files indicated that Oswald was a poor shot when he tried target practice in the Soviet Union. Another detail released was a letter sent by a man in 1978. He was a Soviet, and he made this comment to the British Embassy. He claimed that he was detained in London on July 18, 1963, and questioned by authorities. He said that he told them about Lee Harvey Oswald, saying he planned to kill the president. He added that he warned American Vice Consul Tom Blackshear of the plans of Oswald, who was trying to defect to Russia. Okay, so that's kind of a big deal. But what does that say to you? So far, that just says, now hang on, if you're driving, I shouldn't say. I'm going to give you time to pull over, because this is going to be a shock to you. You pull over? Okay.
Shocker.
What it says is our government is incompetent. I know.
That's the line I wanted to get to. Like,
Oh, boy.
wait, what? The guy's in Russia. We know that his general says he was pulled out by the CIA.
Wait, what did he say?
He said
I
our
missed-
government's incompetent. Gary Underhill is killed after saying that there is a clique that is trying to kill the president, and then he gets murdered. He says Lee Harvey Oswald is a poor shot and is demonstrated by the fact that he shot poorly in Russia. We know that Oswald was pulled out by the general in the CIA. We know, and worked for the CIA. Like, we know all these facts, and that Kennedy was repeatedly warned that he was going to be killed. That the government, that there were people saying, "Hey, Oswald's going to kill Kennedy. Oswald's going to kill." They knew the man by name.
So let's have a parade.
And yet, the conclusion we draw from that, oh, they're just stupid. No. It was a plan by the Fed. The Fed was in on it. It's not stupidity. I don't know how in the world you look at all those facts and go, oh, well, they're just stupid. Did they kill Gary Underhill because they're stupid? Or are we just going to say that those 12 bullets to the back of the head were just unrelated in an accident?
Maybe they were stupidly unrelated.
Yeah, it was just a stupid coincidence. I don't know. Just how people can look at those kinds of data points and make that kind of inference just astonishes me. I like Beck. I really do. But this just die-hard commitment to our government is incompetent, not evil. This is why things have gotten as bad as they've gotten. Because these people do these evil things and then go, oops. And then there are other people going, well, I guess they're just stupid. It's like, no, this is a toddler breaking the lamp and telling you it was an accident when really the toddler is mad that he got grounded.
Just as stupid like a fox.
Exactly, stupid like a fox. Jen says maybe he's a gatekeeper. I
Glenn
don't.
Beck?
I don't know. I don't know if he's a gatekeeper. I think it's either a cultural thing or a generational thing. I think there's just this attitude of trust the science, trust the institutions, trust the people in charge, because, I don't know, we just have this weird reliance on experts.
Yeah.
And we don't want
Cody-
to admit that experts lie.
Cody's on his way.
Well, excellent. It'd be great to hear from good old Cody. Now I feel like we need to prolong this. I hope Cody has thoughts, because I have thoughts. But I mean, am I crazy? I'm sitting here going, there's no way. There's no way that you could reasonably infer that this is an accident.
Yeah, you are crazy in your own right, but so am I.
Okay. Well, then maybe, I don't know, maybe we're just talking nonsense. Jen says, oh, trust what you're told. That's right. Trust the science. Trust the science.
Trust the gatekeeping science.
Masks will work. Vaccine will save you. I can't do that Fauci voice for very long. That's hard on the throat, man.
Wait, who's Fauci?
Even Fauci. Oh, the guy that's another thing that drove me nuts. Okay, you remember Fauci, right? Do you not know who he is?
No, I'm just trying to forget who he is.
Oh yeah, it was tragic. I'm mainly going on a tirade because I'm killing time until Cody gets here, because I am curious about his thoughts on this. But I'm like, the moment I saw Fauci, the second he came up on that platform when all this COVID stuff was going down, I mean the second, Trevor, I was like, that dude is a little Satan. Where did what rock did he crawl out from under? And how did he get Trump's ear? Later learned he got Trump's ear through Pence, because Pence was a turncoat. But anyway. But I mean, the guy, obviously, he sounds like an Italian gangster. I mean, can you not get a more, like, vaudevillian bad guy? Like, you couldn't get a more vaudevillian bad guy if you tried. And yet, people believed the guy.
And a lot of people didn't do any research on him.
Yeah.
They just was like, oh, we can believe this guy.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm like, what in the world compels you people to believe in somebody like that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
blaming the role of the AIDS. Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, so Jen says I blame him in the role of AIDS. Well, yeah, I mean, and I think he tried to do the same thing with the vaccine that, what was it, Ozempic? That I think like his attempt with Ozempic and vaccine were similar somehow. I forget
like
the
that.
details, but bottom line is he sent everybody a shot that could kill them, but we're supposed to trust the science. This is what trusting the experts get to. And I would maintain that Beck's attitude about this is incompetence, this is stupidity, this is people not knowing what to do, like that is how we got here. Just assuming these people are dumb instead of assuming that they're bad, they're evil. And was it Benny Johnson has a way of putting it, like, what does he call it? Was it complicity, or like basically there comes a point where stupidity and being complicit in a bad deed, as it were, they're interchangeable.
Complacency.
Well, complicit, like to be involved in a scheme. To be involved in a conspiracy, to be complicit in a conspiracy is the same thing as like being just stupid and missing it. There comes a point where mistakes and complicit become the same word. I'm screwing up the term, but...
Oh, yeah, I was wondering. Jess said Siri's voice is worse, and then she changed it to Soros. So
oh, yeah, Soros.
dang autocorrect.
Yeah, Soros sounds like a gremlin. Like, I'm going to
Yeah.
put all these prosecutors in Dallas. I was a Nazi. It's like, good night. These people are cartoon characters. Where do they... It's just like red flashing lights. These are bad people. They're manifesting the demons that indwell them. And Beck is like, oh, it's incompetence. I just get blown away by it. I really do. But I'm kicking a dead horse now. So let's move on to Benny Johnson talking to Mike Benz really quick on this. And hopefully Cody will be here before we wrap her up.
Wrap it up.
Mike,
Wrap it up.
Is it like Christmas morning for you at this point? Let's just begin there.
They are bad people.
It's a new day in America, and it feels something like a Christmas morning. I think you did an amazing job teeing this up. There's really by describing it as a fake world. I've been using this phrase USAID Truman Show about the USAID debacle that's been unfolding over the past several months, and I've been trying to stress that USAID is the continuation of CIA work, and that after the CIA got in trouble in the 1960s and 70s and had to go through these reforms, they moved the operational layer of the CIA substantially into USAID. You have in these papers the direct... You see this phrase agency sponsored time and time again, and these were all largely redacted. They'll reference some group, the Hungarian Freedom Fighters, or some research center in Houston, Texas, and then there'll be brackets. There were brackets up until for the past 50 years, and now we see the brackets visible, and it'll say, and they're agency sponsored. At the time, that meant Central Intelligence Agency. Now, by and large, that means the U.S. Agency for International Development, and it's simply done as a democracy promotion program rather than a covert action program that has to be authorized by the White House. And if I can just point out a few things up top that I find so fascinating about these documents, is really I'm less interested as I am in the JFK assassination. I had no expectations of finding some singular smoking gun within the agency's own files that said, well, we did it. But what you see is just an incredible trove of structuring and internal deliberation documents that live on today because the institutions that are named and the dynamics that they were dealing with are infused in like the current dramas that we're currently...
I'm a big fan of Benny Johnson as well.
So, for example, there's this 15-page Arthur Schlesinger memo that's a lot of folks are talking about, and I too find it incredibly fascinating. And it's called CIA Reorganization. And even that name, when you, again, as we've talked about so many times, in today's context, when it's too dirty for the CIA, it's done by USAID, and USAID is going through a reorganization. There has been an incredible push and pull drama that's been playing out over this, as the White House has been trying to shut USAID down. And then the courts just this very
Is
week
that Cody?
said, actually,
Hang
you
on a
can't
minute
shut
here.
it down.
Yep.
You have to
Gotta switch everything over because, I have yet to figure out how to make this transition smooth. It's quite embarrassing on my part. But anyway.
Transitional.
Gentlemen,
Okay. Well, hello, good
How?
sir.
how are we?
How?
How are you?
I'm well.
You're well?
I'm well. I'm late. Very late.
That's
it
all
is
right,
well with
man.
your soul.
That's all right. I'm trying to fix.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. I'm trying to fix our thing. You got to bear with me here. So,
Roar.
It's unbearable.
all right, let's switch that over for a second. All right. Well, are you caught up? Do you know where we're at, sir? Or do we need to break down what's going on?
I kind of caught a little bit of the Glenn Beck thing at the very end. I heard you making fun of Fauci, and I found it hypocritical because you like RFK and his voice is messed up too.
You know what? You're right. I shouldn't make fun of people's voices. But hey, cut me some slack.
But I
man. He
actually
does
agree with you
sound-
judging people based on their voice. but
Oh, so you were.
I don't like RFK or Fauci.
I don't know what you're getting at, though. So am I a
We
villain
don't like
for
anybody.
judging him, or am I a hypocrite?
Well, you think RFK is good, but he has a messed up voice as well as Fauci.
My
so.
point was, though, like, archetypally speaking, Fauci sounds like a gangster. Like, he
And
literally
RFK sounds like he has a brain worm.
That's not an archetype. That's a victim, Cody.
Gangster, read all about it.
Those are not the same things at all. But anyway. No, so you're pretty well caught up. I was just ranting about how we've got all these facts out.
So what was the contention? Like, who believed what about? Who is Glenn Beck defending Fauci like he didn't know what he did or something?
No, Glenn Beck is saying that in light of everything that we've discovered, he still thinks the government is just incompetent. And I was going, how? How can you possibly believe that this was incompetence after everything that we've seen?
Yeah.
Like, it just drives me insane. Like, and I like Beck. Like I was telling Trevor, I never would have read the Federalist Papers. I never would have gotten into, like, reading firsthand sources in history if it wasn't for Beck. He was very influential to me, but this drives me nuts. I don't know how in the world you still believe in government incompetence after everything that we've seen. It just astonishes me. Absolutely astonishes me.
Yeah.
And that was my broader point, which I think you'll be very interested in the next subject. But my broader point on this is that empiricism is crap because it doesn't seem to matter what data points you get. People still just dig down to, and double down on their own positions because we aren't really interested in facts. We're interested in our worldviews and defending our worldviews. And so it doesn't matter what data points come out. That's kind of been the running theme that I'm trying to construct the show around tonight. So anyway, right now we are watching Benny Johnson and Mike Benz talk about these files. And we're not going to go over the whole thing, but I haven't exactly found a good stopping point yet. So, we'll just see how this goes. So, actually, I need to adjust your window really quick before we...
All right, while you do that, I'm going to let this cat out because he won't stop yelling at me.
Go for it.
Keep spending $44 billion of U.S. taxpayer money in foreign countries. The president can't stop it, even though the president set it up. Which president? It was JFK. JFK set it up in 1961, set up USAID, and actually maybe there are two things that are related on this topic. There's this Arthur Schlesinger memo.
Hey, he looks like our scene.
Yeah, this one, CIA reorganization. And if you
I'm not completely incompetent at this
there's
OBS
a passage
thing.
in there that's called Confidential American Sources. And what Schlesinger goes over is how the CIA is supposed to answer to the State Department. The State Department's supposed to be the big Mac Daddy when it comes to foreign policy. And all these different spindle groups like the CIA, like Voice of America, like what would come to be USAID are supposed to be, they're supposed to answer to state. State is supposed to have review and approval authority. And the CIA is supposed to provide covert assistance. And what Schlesinger says in this memo is that we need to reorganize the CIA because they effectively are dominating many aspects of foreign policy, that they're supposed to be receiving our instructions. Instead, they're pursuing their own foreign policy, and we end up just rubber stamping everything with very little transparency into what's going on there. Note that that's the same thing that Senator Joni Ernst complained to Elon Musk about on a live X space, that the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee, was never able to get access to what USAID was really doing. We saw the Obama administration complain about that with the Zunzaneo fake Cuban Twitter affair that evidently happened without presidential or White House approval. We saw that happen with the State Department complaining that they had little effective oversight over USAID. And what you see in this document is they actually go through the specific structure through which the CIA is able to end run the State Department. And they talk about how the CIA abused State Department cover constantly. It's if you go down, I think it's section 3, if you can pull it up. It's a section right below this. It's section 3 called The Controlled American Sources. I think it should just be on the next page if you pull it up on screen.
We're getting it. Yep.
Yep. And what they go over is, a lot of people have accused me of being CIA because I had this tenure at State, and the most common cover for CIA is State. State is by far and away the most common. State Department attaché is sort of like a CIA meme. And yes, so starting there, this whole section, it says the controlled American sources represent a particular aspect of CIA's encroachment on policymaking functions. And there's a deceptive subtlety to this phrase policymaking functions right there at the bottom. This is super important because the president is supposed to set foreign policy. And if there's a rogue cell that's using American taxpayer dollars, American direct personnel or informants or agents or networks to carry out a foreign policy that's in opposition to what the president wants, that has a massive impact on world affairs. You can imagine, for example, if Trump wants peace in Ukraine, but there's a rogue cell out of the U.S. Embassy in Kiev that does not want peace in Ukraine, and they operationalize the network that is supposed to be instrumentalized by the U.S. president and its policy-making function, then world history plays out in a completely different manner. And so what it says is, right, the encroachment on policy-making functions. CIA today has nearly as many people under official cover overseas at State, 3,900 to 3,700. About 1,500 of them are under State Department cover. Now, I knew that there was this massive overrepresentation of cover under State Department cloak. I didn't have the specific numbers until 2 days ago. Roughly half of all CIA agents undercover overseas are under State Department cover, and then the other 2,200 are either under military or non-state cover. Non-state will mean through, at that point, it would be the NGOs, the universities. Commercial cover is a big one, but it says originally the use of State Department cover for CIA personnel was supposed to be strictly limited and temporary. This is fascinating to see, by the way, that this was 1961. They were already complaining. The pinned video at the top of my X feed goes through this State Department CIA creation in 1948. But to see that only 13 years later, the State Department was openly complaining that the Frankenstein monster they'd created had already, effectively usurped so much of that function. But
okay, so we're going to stop there. So instead of there just being spies in the federal government, it's really invasion of the body snatchers. These people are everywhere, and it could be anybody who's a spy at any given point in time. Just like the KGB, by the way. You didn't know who was an informant and who wasn't. But anyhow. And I guess the takeaway is, in both the instances of Gary Underhill, which Glenn Beck brought up, and in this situation where you literally have the report saying that the CIA's gone rogue, in both instances, you have like a hostile actor, and yet Glenn Beck is saying incompetence. That's two different instances that clearly show that we have bad actors in our government, and he still wants to say, no, it's just stupid people. That was my point. Yep. And blood is shooting out of my eyes. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's like that faction of the conservative movement is why we are in this mess. I like Glenn Beck, but people have got to stop assuming stupidity. It's not stupidity. Yep. These are bad actors. So.
Yep, I agree.
Anyway, so
when you assume stupidity, man, like there's so many things you overlook.
Yeah.
There's so many, like you just willfully ignore. It's like
yeah.
Like I don't want to name anything, but there's a lot of initials SH. Does that mean anything to you?
Mm-mm. Oh, wait. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, like, you assume that those aren't actors. It's just, like, stupid people or whatever.
Well, I will say...
You miss a lot of things that are just blatantly obvious.
Yeah. Well, Alex Jones talks a lot about creepy stuff with that, but we can't go too far into that. But anyway.
Right.
So I'm going to read Jen's comments here, but I'm not sure what she's referring to. Let's see. The one with the wagging tail, that's Jessica asking a question. Jen says, LMFAO, I'm sorry, but Hat Man got lucky. I don't know what that's referring to. And then she says, he got to bang the hottest chick of the day and get away with it. I also don't know what that's referring to. And then Jess asks, controlled opposition.
I'm the only one with a hat, so why Trevor has a hat too. Never mind.
Yeah, there's like two people with hats, so I'm confused on that. But anyway.
I mean, I was pretty sure I had it figured out when she said banging the hottest chick of the day, because my wife's super hot. So.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
We'll run with that. So
right, what else did you say?
Jessica. So Jen confirms that's what she was getting at. That, and then she starts laughing. So, and then Jessica Lambert says, controlled opposition or hopefully naive. I think Beck is hopefully naive. I do think there is some controlled opposition, but I think Beck is just naive. I think if you followed Beck since 2010, there has been kind of this. He's like been in the world of Alex Jones and uncovering a lot of the same things Alex Jones has uncovered, but he is refusing to go as far as Alex Jones will go with it. And he's always resorting back to, well, these people are stupid. They don't know any better and all this.
Yeah.
And it's just...
It wasn't their fault. Their dad was mean to them.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, it's just... But honestly, there's just comfort in saying it's stupidity. Like, just as a kid... Like, just having a kid, I mean... Huh?
Like, when you say it's just stupidity, like, it doesn't require any more intellect out of you. You don't have to look past anything else. Like, you just...
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's just stupid.
Well, more to the point, you don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, if it's just stupid people, you don't have to fix it. But if the CIA is trafficking kids on purpose, you might need to do something about that, and that's a little too uncomfortable. So, because the question becomes, what do you do? What do you do? Yeah. You know, do you just sit back and let people do stuff like that?
Yeah, well, it's all individual. Protect your children.
Well, yeah, but there's a suggestion of a moral imperative that we might need to do something, and I don't think people are quite willing to go there. So it's just easier to say, "Oh, they're stupid. They're just stupid," you know. And this, like, it's not systemic. Like, the bad actors are just like these random pockets of people, and it's not a systemic issue. But what these documents show is it is a systemic issue. This is blackmail, trafficking, be it drugs or people, is fundamental. Like, it's integral to the CIA itself.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And that might require us to do something about them. Not get rid of them. But anyway. Anyway, Jen says...
hey, is... Go ahead.
Let me read the comments, and then
I got a
you
question when
finish
you're
your
done.
thoughts. So, LMFAO. No, Kennedy got to bang Marilyn Monroe. So he's referring to Happy Birthday, Mr. President. That she's referring to Happy Birthday, Mr. President. That thing. So, okay. And then Jessica Lambert says, yeah, labeling something stupid just dismisses it. Exactly. It was Dave Chappelle actually had a great comment on this when he was on Inside the Actors Studio years ago. He said, you don't label something crazy. You should never call something crazy because it's dismissive. And I've always thought that's a wonderful quote. I don't think I liked anything else Dave Chappelle ever did, but I really liked that quote. So, and then Jen says, and then...
I love Dave Chappelle. Great.
What?
I just said Dave Chappelle's great.
Yeah, okay. And then Jen says, and then many, many years later, Kennedy go head to head with Hillary. All of a sudden, his plane he's in a plane crash. Yeah, then there was another Kennedy. Who was that? There was a Kennedy killed in a plane crash. There's like 3 Kennedys that died under mysterious circumstances. So,
Hello.
yeah. So, all right.
So does Crowder work for the company that Beck runs?
He used
Is that
to.
right?
He used to, but they had a bad falling
Okay.
out. Yeah.
So Alex Stein also worked for Glenn Beck. And
Blaze.
Oh, did he
Blaze
leave? I was
the
under the
Blaze.
impression he still worked for Glenn Beck, Alex Stein.
Well, I haven't. This is an old story. Like I haven't even heard about this in forever. Because Glenn Beck, it made me think of it. So Owen Benjamin, and I honestly I barely listen to him anymore. But the story, like whenever I hear Glenn Beck, this is the first thing I think of. So Owen was gonna get on Alex Stein's show, right? Mm-hmm. And Glenn Beck blackballed it. He said no, because he's gonna call Steven Crowder gay. That's hilarious.
But we're freedom of speech, Cody. We're all about freedom of speech. You just can't call anybody gay.
Then that's not freedom of speech.
I know.
What?
I'm mocking the that traditional conservative position.
Okay.
You know, they're always screaming about freedom of speech, unless you sign an NDA, and then you don't have it anymore.
Yep.
So it's just ridiculous. Anyway,
Co-
Cody has an echo. Okay, all right. Let me fix that really quick because I bet you.
I noticed there's a delay.
I hope there isn't a delay. Are we lagging on the? Somebody in the chat, can you please answer whether or not we're lagging?
It's taken a minute for you to hear me.
Okay, let me do something.
yeah.
Hopefully that'll fix the
Cody.
echo. I hate that. Because it's weird because whenever it's just me and Trevor, the echo isn't there. But whenever it's 3 people and more, then you start getting an echo. I don't know why. So
Interesting.
I hate OBS, but I don't want to spend the money for something else. And it's not
Can't
even that.
spell OBS without BS.
There you go.
Problem solved.
I guess maybe it'd be more accurate to say I'm just lazy. I don't want to relearn another program. That's why I haven't stopped using Adobe. I hate Adobe products with a fiery passion, but it took me 2 years to learn how to video edit with Adobe and use all the different stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to spend 2 years learning another program. So I'm stuck with this awful corporation. But anyway.
Have you been over the Kennedy assassination thing yet?
Yeah, we just got done covering that. That was...
Okay, well, I saw something interesting. I don't know if you guys covered this or not, but the 263, 273 thing, I might be getting those numbers wrong. So there was an order. Let me grab my phone. Hang on.
Okay, yeah, pull it up. And we'll end on this note. All right, let's see. Trevor, can you catch us up on the comments, please? Oh, he's gone. Okay, hang on. Trevor, welcome back. Could you catch us on the comments really quick while Cody looks this up?
Let's see. Yeah, labeling something. Jess said, labeling something stupid just dismisses it, or someone. Jen said Junior. Jess said JFK Jr. Cody has an echo, and this was way back then. I'm not noticing. LOL. War is peace.
And then
Just said OBS.
Yeah.
And then Jen said, what's the next topic?
Okay, Cody's going to give us some interesting numerical stuff on JFK, and then we're going to go into pillars under the pyramids.
I will be right back.
All right,
Okay,
great.
so in 1964 was INSAM 273. Okay, and LBJ put this in, and it was the central object of the U.S. to assist the people and government of South Vietnam to win their contest against the externally directed and supported communist conspiracy. And then, so Kennedy was assassinated in 64, right?
I thought it was 63.
Oh, okay. So right before this. So to me, it seems like Kennedy was trying to stop what LBJ was doing. LBJ was working for probably the pharmaceutical companies because, Vietnam was about opium. So they did that. They were trying to support the Vietnamese people against a communist conspiracy. And then in 65, there was INSAM 263, changes to be accomplished by the government of South Vietnam to improve its military performance, a training program for Vietnamese so that essential functions can be carried out by the Vietnamese by the end of 1965. And then they blanket bombed everybody. So they trained their military, then started fighting them.
Because war is an embezzlement racket for these people.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Kennedy was trying to stop that. And LBJ, had to get rid of him and then go so they could do Vietnam and get all the opium for the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, there was a lot of factors going on. You had the Vietnam War Kennedy was wanting us to get out of. Kennedy wanted to destroy the CIA, which is what they were referring to, that memo that Benz and Benny Johnson were talking about. That was the memo Kennedy got to convince Kennedy to get rid of the CIA. And then you had something to do with the mob. I don't know what that was about. And so you had basically, and then LBJ was under investigation. If you remember the recording that when Jeremiah was here, I played for you guys, where they're talking back and forth about why LBJ had Kennedy killed. Well, it's because LBJ was he was about to go to jail. And so his back was against the wall, and he decided to basically make a deal with the CIA. But it was incompetence, see?
It's crazy,
It's
man.
incompetence.
Because, the Kennedy, that was a mob family.
I've heard that. Now,
Yeah.
Michael Franzese says that the mob helped him win in Chicago, and they expected certain deals because they won. And then I guess maybe Kennedy reneged on the deal or something like that, and so the mob was mad at him. And if I understand Franzese correctly, the CIA went to the mob and was like, we want you in on this. And the mob, basically one of the potentially four gunmen that were there was like, okay. So one of them was like a mob guy. Then there's like two, one of them was a mob guy, and then LBJ hired another guy. And there were multiple shooters there, but ironically, Lee Harvey Oswald was not one of them because he didn't have powder burns on his hands and shirt. So, and he was screaming, I'm a patsy the whole time. So,
Sounds like he might have been a patsy.
possibly. Good night. Okay.
The old Stephen Paddock version 1.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right, Trevor, do you want to read the last of these, or do you want me to read them? And then we need to wrap up and go to, pillars under pyramids.
Did you read Just as War is Peace?
Jess's War is Peace.
Okay.
I'm lost. Okay.
I'll start
okay.
there.
Yeah, start there. Go.
She said War is Peace, OBS. And then Jen said, what's the next topic?
Yeah, which
Okay,
we answered.
That's where we're at. Yes, I knew you was. I didn't want to ask you to do it if it was something you were going to do another time. Just said 1963. And then Jen said, then the UFO crash and the Cuba Missile thing. And then Jess said, which UFO crash? Roswell was in 1947, and then Jen thought there was one in 1964, and then Jess said Cuban
okay.
Missile Crisis in 1962. Jen said 2 dead bodies, 1 wounded, other very much alive, and then Jess said Lonnie is a Moore incident according to Google, but I haven't heard of it before.
Okay, so the Lonnie Zamor incident. We'll have to look that up some other time. But for now, we're wrapping it up. So, because I think we've
Like
explored
Christmas.
this. Wrapping it up like Christmas. So, all right, we're not actually leaving. We're moving on to episode 3. So stick around. We're not done. But just for my editing purposes. Guys,
23.
thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. All right. So, who wants to lead us into episode 3? Would you like me to do
I will,
it?
since I was late.
Okay, go for it, Cody.
Welcome to the Try F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up like I just did.
Sorry, I did it earlier.
Today, we're going to be talking about pyramids. This is like, my wife said a little bit of something about this to me, that there was like spiral thingies under the pyramids.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of pictures on Facebook of kind of what it was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If they're giant obelisks, I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so again, returning to my theme about how empiricism is crap, this is another example of it, because everybody who believes aliens is going, see aliens. Everybody who believes in the flood is going, see flood. So it's just more data points, and everybody's just using those same data points to reaffirm their own conclusions, which means we believe things for completely different reasons besides data.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, so let me switch over to the...
I would say the data points to Egyptians.
Yeah,
Does it?
the data points
Does
to
it?
Egypt. You know, just those puns, you just slide them in so fast, and I just miss them. It takes me like a half a second longer to get them. It's very frustrating.
That's what she said.
I don't. Okay.
So are we watching a video on this the spiral thing?
So
Let's
this
get
is the
into it.
opening
Okay.
video. and
Because
let's-
I haven't seen anything.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
I
Very-
am struggling to express in words just how significant of a discovery this is.
Scary music.
All right.
Dun dun dun.
What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so
This guy's from England. I don't believe
awe-inspiring
him
and
already.
narrative shattering.
What?
This guy's English. I already don't believe him. I'm just kidding.
Are you racist against Englishmen?
Yes, I hate.
He's
white
had one
people.
too many tea and crumpets, Trevor. So
biscuits.
Tea and biscuits. You want some tea and biscuits?
All right. Sorry, I interrupted.
it's all right.
That I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography. So this was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to
I've already
achieve a
seen this, so I'll be right back.
high-resolution, full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep down. This is what we know so far. utilizing high-resolution radar images from Capella Space and Umbra, which are two private companies that specialize in satellite-based synthetic aperture radar imaging. This has allowed researchers to create a 3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid. But the most shocking discovery lies beneath the surface. Below ground level, radar tomography has identified vertical cylindrical structures extending for hundreds of meters beneath the pyramid. There are 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 parallel rows, descending to an astonishing depth of 648 meters. Even more intriguing, at the base of these structures are 2 massive cubic formations measuring approximately 80 meters in diameter. The tomographic data suggests that these are vertical wells with intricate spiral pathways. Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows the dynastic Egyptian model out of the water. I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible to say that the Egyptian civilizations that we understand, that we've been taught about, were responsible for building these structures. And it doesn't even end there. The radar analysis extends beneath the entire Giza plateau, revealing interconnected structures beneath not only the Great Pyramid of Giza, but also those of Khufu and Menkaure. The subsurface network reaches down to a staggering depth of approximately 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers. This is not possible, given the standard historical and archaeological narrative given to us about ancient Egypt. Now, I'm hearing that there is more to come. There is a 4-hour presentation that's going to be released by the research team. This is what I'm hearing. That's going to go into every detail of their findings. This has essentially been a strategic release of incredible data ahead of time to get people interested. And I am more interested in this than basically anything else right now, because this is by far the most provocative piece of evidence for not only a potential technological explanation for the purpose of the Giza complex, but it also provides the most extraordinary evidence for a pre-flood era civilization that was flourishing in a way that we can scarcely comprehend. It's also possible that this spiraling cylindrical series of structures are staircases, and I can't help but think of the channeled writings of Thoth the Atlantean, the Emerald Tablets, speaking of a lost hall of records, a sacred hall of knowledge below the Giza Plateau, the halls of Amenti. Could this be the lost hall of records from the pre-flood era? Now, obviously, this discovery is extremely controversial. It runs as a complete contradiction of the established narratives and status quo in mainstream academia on these issues. This will cause big waves throughout the academic and the wider world if they can fully evidence these findings. But the results so far seem pretty clear. There is obviously significant structural engineering taking place deep below the pyramids and the Giza Plateau in general. Has this changed your mind on the pyramids? Has this strengthened your position on what they might have been? Has this new discovery given you any new ideas about what the implications are? Let me know in the comment section below, and honestly, everyone, share this far and wide. This is such interesting stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll just have to see where this goes, because rest assured, I'll be keeping a very close eye on any coming announcements and updates on this issue. This plays directly into one of my main interests, which is, of course, prehistorical civilizational implications, what was going on before the global cataclysm.
Okay, so there you go. Now, just for scale, I pulled this up really quick, if I could find it. Hang on a minute. Here we go. So, what do you say, 600 meters?
648 meters, 0.4 miles.
Yeah. So, the Empire State Building is 443 meters. So, pretty stinking deep. Let's see. Jessica Lambert called Cody a racist.
That's a fact.
And then Jen says, just think way back when they was built, everything was tropical back then. It's a huge energy battery. Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying that they're using geothermal energy and sound in a combination to produce energy or whatever. My question was, how are they getting the energy out? Like, you're creating these vibrations. You're creating structures that can grab these vibrations, the motion. But how are you actually transporting that energy to objects? That would be my question. Which
Be the same way cell phone towers do.
yeah, and there was some theory Tesla had.
Tesla was working on that theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy on TikTok a long time ago. He got taken down. He was like an autistic kid. His name was Dr. Parkenstein. You ever heard of him? Okay, he built this Tesla generator, and whenever he turned it on, he explained how you do it, and you wrap a certain amount of coils around a piece of cardboard or tube or something, and like you match the frequency of his machine with the certain amount of coils, and you do it the way that he said it, and you could, receive, if you plug that into the ground, you could like light up a light bulb when he had his generator on anywhere in the world.
Interesting.
So I think I think Tesla was working on that. He was all about wireless energy and getting it out for free. And that's when Edison came in and, we have to be able to capitalize on this industry.
Well, speaking of Tesla, I did pull this up about his limitless energy in the pyramids of Egypt. So we could go into that in more detail if you like. For now, Jen says,
they took the transmitter off the top, so
could be, yeah. They
used to have a gold cap or some shit, from what they say.
Maybe that's what it was. I mean, I don't know. I just found it very fascinating. So, Jen says, and Moses was on mountain grinding gold into powder. I think it was still working then. Water moves on crystal granite. Yes, it's where Tesla got his info. He's on X still. Fulcrum 47 says he's on X still.
Dr. Parkenstein?
Yeah.
Cool.
So
that's what's up.
Big time until it's used for the wrong reasons. Okay. So, do we want to look at this? Well, I guess we're going to, because that's all I got pulled up on the subject. So, we got Nikola Tesla's theory of limitless energy and the pyramids of Egypt. This was actually put out 5 years earlier. So, let's see if this lines up with what they found. I also wanted to point out that, so what I found interesting was, so I guess this structure goes all the way down to the bedrock, and the cubes below the pillars were like, 2 kilometers deep?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me, but anyway.
What's a kilometer?
I think it's just short of a mile, but I don't know the exact number. Yeah, this was a huge undertaking. Of course, I mean, I kind of wonder if maybe part of it was like buried by the flood or something. Got washed over, during that time. So they may not have went quite that deep, but who knows? So
that wouldn't explain the that lion dog thing.
The Sphinx.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So, let's see what this says.
Here's why Audible
is
a
ad.
Side hustle. Because thanks to this free app available on the App Store, you can now...
Nobody cares.
The Egyptian pyramids are without a doubt the most mysterious structures on planet Earth. We do not know when they were built, how they were built, who built them, and most importantly, why they were built. The Great Pyramid weighs nearly 6 million tons and consists of 2.3 million stones that are cut and...
I just want to pause. I can't remember if it was said in the video we just watched on Twitter or if Wrestling KD said it, but I wanted to point out that one of the things that I found interesting is it's possible that the current model about how the smaller pyramids were the Egyptians learning how to build the pyramids, and the big ones were like the peak of their generation or whatever, or their peak of the technology. Might have been the exact opposite. Like, those pyramids might have came first, and the people of Egypt built their pyramids around those pyramids, and the smaller ones are actually mimicry of the bigger ones. I found that
makes sense.
I found that really interesting.
But then you have to wonder if like the millennial reign already happened or some shit like that. It's like who because you're giving a lot of power to a basically infinite source.
Well, that's why I think the pre-flood world has a lot of credibility, because I think
Like Babylon? You think it's Babylon?
no, I think it was like a dynasty or something we haven't even heard of before that built all that. Like, I think basically, I had a Sunday school teacher actually say this to me years and years ago. He said, we think that those people were still cavemen, essentially. They probably weren't, though. Now, he thought they were probably as far along as the 1800s. They might have been much further. Like, they might have been, like, flying cars and, like, just before you go to interplanetary travel. Like, they might have been really stinking far along. And, maybe because the angels were interacting with men at that point or something. Who knows why? But the technology might have just been way, way more advanced than what we even are now. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of twists the story of Noah's Ark, flips it on its head. Instead of Noah's Ark being this colossal feat of construction, people might have been thinking, you're going to survive a global flood on that? And then ironically, the Noah's flood, the Ark actually survives and everything else gets wiped out. So it was just food for thought. But yeah, they may have been way more advanced than what we give credit for. And I think there's a lot of credibility to that idea. But
yeah,
anyway,
maybe.
Fit together with laser precision. Many of these massive stones, which weigh as much as 80 tons, had to be transported from vast distances of more than 500 miles away. For thousands of years, it stood as the tallest unnatural structure in the world. Certainly, there must have been a good reason to go to all this trouble to construct such a wondrous monument, and we now know that it certainly was not a tomb. Nikola Tesla, who is perhaps the greatest inventor of all time, had a particular infatuation with the pyramids. He believed they served a higher purpose, and throughout his career he attempted...
We are going to get so nailed for the music on that, just so you know. So if we ever actually do get monetized, this episode's probably going to go. But anyway.
Oh.
...to unravel their mystery. His idea has been dismissed and forgotten over the last century, but considering that Tesla is directly responsible for 80% of the technology we use today, perhaps we should view his theories with a more open mind. Today's episode is a brilliant showcase from the original Gaia series, Ancient Civilizations. We chose this episode because it opens the gate to new possibilities and new perspectives surrounding the pyramids. We ask you to suspend your disbelief and take a journey down the rabbit hole through this insightful presentation.
Oh, we are going to get so killed on copyright.
Yeah, that one.
We're going to get so nailed.
Yep.
Can we listen to it on like time and a quarter?
Bedbugs can survive for months without
change the
feeding
sound of the music
and are resistant.
Yeah, it'll change it.
Like, listen to it faster in the hopes that we can dodge the algorithm.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? Let's see if I can get that figured out real quick. We got nothing to
settings.
lose here because we are going to get murdered so hard on that. Where's this playback speed? There we go. You want to do 1.25 or 1.5?
Whatever's clever. What do you think?
I can do 1.5 pretty easy. I don't know about everybody else.
Well, so can I, but most people can't.
That's true. All right, we'll do 1.25 then. Okay.
In 1905, physics genius Nikola Tesla submitted his U.S. patent 787412, which was titled The Art of Transmitting Electrical Energy Through the Natural Medium. It included designs for a series of worldwide generators. Tesla realized that the ionosphere was sparkling with electrical energy which could easily be tapped. Planet Earth, according to Tesla, was a gigantic electrical generator spinning around two magnetic poles from which limitless energy can be harnessed using the right medium or shape. His device was later referred to as Tesla's electromagnetic pyramid, based on his design looking like a triangle shape.
Tesla tapping into the actual shape of the pyramid, I believe, was something that just came roundabout through his investigation into the location of the pyramids. Because what appears to have happened is that he realized that it wasn't the actual shape of the pyramid so much, although pyramids exhibit fractal energy much more efficiently than other types of designs. But what he discovered was it was the location of the pyramids that created the power. And when he built his facility here in Colorado Springs, and then on the East Coast, he did so according to the laws of where the pyramids at Giza were constructed, and it had to do with the elliptical orbit of the Earth and those sites' relationship to the actual equator. That there was a natural construction somehow taking place between those very specific sites and the overall energy field of the Earth. And because of that, he believed he could transmit power wirelessly.
Tesla's discovery and device disappeared after his mysterious death in 1943. But what he was trying to tap into might have just scratched the surface of understanding the power of something much more ancient.
According to Nikola Tesla, 369 is the key to the universe. Tesla became so obsessed with this 369.
Hey, it's Billy Carson.
Oh no.
This documentary
This whole
just
video is
dropped.
completely discredited.
You gotta discredit it.
Damn it.
Maybe it is a good thing we'll get hit.
I was invested for a second. Now I'm not.
I know, now I'm all cynical. Dad. Oh, let's see. Let me somebody read the comments while I scroll through this thing, see if they say anything about the energy source.
How far? Jessica Lambert said Tesla was so ahead of his time. I agree. Then Jen said, this is when shit will hit the fan. No money to make for free energy.
Mm-hmm. Once you file that patent, man, you're competing with the powers that be.
Yep.
Just ask Stanley Meyer. Oh wait, you can't. He's dead.
Yeah. They are all over the world. Just think some of them was torn down and temples was built on them. Elohim, maybe. And then Jessica says, so much information was lost in Alexandria and other libraries that we don't even know about. And Jen said, I think we gonna find out the truth sooner than people think. And Jess said, fight the power, LOL, 1.25. And then Jen said, hormonal to the earth. Wait, who's hormonal?
I don't think
Women.
that's what she... Well.
I'm just kidding, women. Sort of.
Anyway, so Alex Jones has an interesting theory, one I tend to kind of agree with. I think
Alex Jones-Ria?
Alex
Jones-Ria.
Alex Jones-Ria.
He talks kind of funny, too.
Yeah, he does. There's a lot of funny people talking. That's the other theme in this episode is people talk funny.
Thank you.
No, he says that our benevolent overlords, the British bankers, they probably already know about all this, but they've been suppressing information because, yeah, like free energy just nukes our whole economic model. If you can transport energy without any sort of like grid, you're kind of done.
Yeah.
So there's also a wonderful episode of Bob's Burgers I love, by the way, where it talks about how they didn't like Tesla because of this free energy concept, and so they were trying to show how dangerous Tesla's type of electricity was. So, you know, they fried an elephant, and they have this song Electric Love on there because the elephant's name was Topsy, and they're like, oh, they'll say autopsy at my autopsy. It's a great episode. So I love that
I
episode.
want a Bob's Burger.
Yeah, it's Bob's Burgers, yep. So the next video I have here kind of relates to the energy to power the world thing. So I don't know if this is like getting into like music of the spheres or that there's some kind of correlation with like musical notes and how this energy is created, like something about the vibrations. So
okay.
I thought this is interesting. Again, I'm a little baffled as to how they got the energy out. Like I can see conceptually, I can see what they're doing. You know, you connect it to the bedrock, and then the vibrations from the bedrock are transferred up to the pyramid through the structures. Like, I get that, but how do you get it to go to other objects? So I'm still kind of stuck on that. So anyway, we'll see if this answers.
You turn it into a flying saucer, of course.
Well, obviously. Why didn't I think of that? So
well, the ground is the ground. Like, so you can plug something in and then take it out and plug it in the other way, and it still works.
Yeah. I guess
the ground, it can act as a conduit.
I think that's probably what they were playing on. Yeah, it's maybe the ground. I don't
Plus,
know.
there's
I'm
other
dumb.
pyramids everywhere.
I'm just dumb. I don't understand how
So-
energy is transferred. So
That's electricity is one of the most fascinating topics in the whole world.
yeah, I agree. It is very interesting, but I also thought this music of the spheres thing was interesting because I mean, just the idea that different notes can produce different types of energy, and yeah, it's just all incredible to me. So I thought we'd watch this for a minute and see what we come up with here.
F-sharp chord. 440 hertz and the F-sharp chord have been connected to a lot of...
It's another ad.
Oh, good.
Ooh, I like this one.
You don't play this
further
game, do you,
excite the
Trevor?
stone, creating
No.
even more electricity.
No, so let me get this straight. You stick the shafts into the queen's chamber, which gets the...
I didn't watch
Whoa.
this video beforehand.
The shafts in the queen's chamber, eh?
The fish. I despise that fish.
Why is it?
Well, he's a heckler.
Oh, it's a heckle fish. Oh, so it's a gimmick. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, that is.
What?
Please don't. Did you have to give the fish teeth? That just seems unnecessary. But okay.
This guy's a cop. He's got
that's
cop
right,
mugs
but
back
somehow
there.
when you...
Huh?
His coffee mugs in the background. He's a cop. You can't trust him.
Oh. Well, you're being awfully picky tonight, so maybe this
Hey,
is his
you pointed out
part-time
the
job.
fish first.
I did complain about the fish, but the fish with teeth is unnerving, man. Come on, that just freaks me
Being
out.
awful picky.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Touche, Cody. All right.
Say it sounds dirty.
I'm a naughty, naughty fish.
Acoustic engineers have determined the gallery resonates at 440 hertz and naturally emits an F-sharp chord. 440 hertz and the F-sharp chord have been connected to a lot of woo-woo ideas, but there's a reason for that. It's considered a sound that resonates in harmony with the earth. The builders of the pyramid knew this. Longtime Mac users will recognize this sacred chord. At the top of the gallery is a small shaft leading to the king's chamber. The opening is 8.4 by 4.8 inches. This is the perfect size for hydrogen microwaves to pass into the king's chamber, which also resonates at 440 hertz and F sharp. Above the king's chamber are 5 layers of granite beams, stacked and separated by air gaps. This is called the relieving chamber because it was believed that this interior structure relieved the weight of the pyramid. That's not what it does. The beams are smooth on 3 sides, but rough cut on the top. Christopher Dunn believes the reason for the rough cut is this is how the beams were tuned. The builders could vibrate the granite beams and slowly chip away at the stone until they resonated with an F-sharp chord, which they do. The king's chamber is what's known as a Helmholtz resonator. When you blow air across the top of a bottle and create sound, that's a Helmholtz resonator. Change the volume of liquid in the bottle, or change the volume of stone within the chamber, you change the pitch. The entire complex is a giant musical instrument. Now, some skeptics reluctantly agree that the Great Pyramid has musical properties. But for skeptics to consider the pyramid as a power plant, they would need evidence to show that a giant stone pyramid would respond to electromagnetic energy. There was no evidence of that until 2018. Whether true or not, it's scientifically possible that the Great Pyramid was a structure for creating, harnessing, and focusing energy. The exterior was made of material that insulates electricity. The interior was made of material that conducts electricity. The chambers were made of material that creates electricity. The next piece of evidence is the pyramid's ability to focus EM energy. In 2018, scientists used radio waves at different frequencies to see if the Great Pyramid would interact with electromagnetic waves of a resonant length. Their experiments proved that in a resonant state, the pyramid can concentrate electromagnetic energy in the internal chambers as well as under its base. Resonance in the pyramid can be induced by radio waves with the lengths ranging from 200 to 600 meters. The closer to 200 meters, the more dramatic the effect. A year after that, in 2019, Eric Wilson published a paper called A Large-Scale Thermal Acoustic Generator. The paper describes how, when granite and other rocks are vibrated, electrons will migrate through the rock and up to the surface. By combining science and music, the builders of the pyramid created a power-generating machine tuned to the natural harmonic of the Earth's vibration that primarily comes from the tidal energy created by the moon's gravity. This technology, created thousands of years ago, could generate unlimited clean energy. But how did they get the energy out? That brings us back to Tesla. His Wardenclyffe Tower was built on top of an aquifer, with copper and iron rods extending down into the water. When electricity was sent into the tower, it was to be transmitted around the world through the atmosphere. The pyramid is also built on an aquifer, and copper pipes and iron rods have recently been discovered there. If the capstone was made of gold, the energy concentrated inside the pyramid would have been drawn to the top and transmitted to the atmosphere. Tesla's wireless power distribution system used the resonance of the Earth. just like the pyramid. And just like the pyramid, the energy generated by Tesla's tower would be unlimited, clean, and virtually free for everyone on the planet. But Tesla's tower was destroyed by outside forces. There's evidence that the Great Pyramid was destroyed from within. In the year 1900, Nikola Tesla convinced J.P. Morgan.
Okay, well, I think that answers the core question I had about how they get it out. That actually makes sense. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody read the comments while I process this. That's pretty nuts.
Man, what if... Go ahead, Trevor.
Fulcrum 47 said free energy would be nice. Jen said well water, crystals, granite, copper does things energy-wise. Jess says there was a thing with a crystal radio. What makes a crystal radio work?
Crystals.
Jen said it's in watches to go figure. Fulcrum says, so this whole time we just had to turn on a laptop in the pyramid to turn it on.
Well, there you go.
Jen said, then I believe the Ark of the Covenant was the conductor somehow. This is why I think Moses was grinding gold into a powder. One pole was positive and the other pole was a negative. And then Fulcrum says, I wonder what would happen if you set a nuke off in there.
Nothing good.
Nothing, because nukes are fake.
Fake nukes. Just like the fake news.
Yes.
And then Jen said, it's going to fall together soon. And then Jess said, Jen, you got the copper part right.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so what if this all used to be a thing? What if we actually used free energy in the 1800s?
As late as the 1800s?
Yeah.
Well, where? Like, how would that work?
Well, I mean, you can find pictures of old buildings. They've all got like churches. What do you think steeples are for?
Okay, so you're thinking the steeples used free energy?
Yeah, they're like antennas. But so, like in the late 1800s, if you look it up, have you ever heard of ball lightning?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like very, very common. Like ball lightning would just like float into people's houses and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the time. But what if that was an effect of free energy?
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
And so that's kind of why they snuffed it out. It makes sense to me. I don't know. I'm just thinking of it now.
Well, you could be right because this is all new to me, and it's very irritating because it's like, man, when I think I've got I understand the bulk of what's out there, then something like this happens, and it's like, oh gosh, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Bro, look into Dr. Parkenstein. He'll screw you up.
Yeah, it's all pretty disillusioning, but
dude, sharp as a tack.
Well, it's just discouraging to think that we could have had free energy, and then for some reason the grid guys won. CIA maybe. Since we're talking about them already.
Jen said it got lost with Moses when he took the ark from the pharaohs. And then Jess said it would have been way before the 1800s.
Yeah, but like it kind of snuffed out at the end of the 1800s. And that's also when ball lightning was, at its decline. And I mean, if you think about it, the population of America, what it is now, compared to the late 1800s, the demand for the amount of electricity to be put into the atmosphere, would have significantly gone up. This whole place would be a tinderbox, man.
You think so? You think if we tried this technology now, we'd fry the planet?
I don't know.
It
makes sense.
It does make sense.
Fulcrum's, nuking all the stuff. It'd be nuking ourselves with electricity.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say one thing, though. I want to break up one minor point before we wrap this subject up. I don't think it's aliens. I do think it's pre-flood. What I think is going on is this is some kind of pre-flood technology, and I think there's a lot of that stuff that can still be found that's been dug up. I think as Alex Jones says, our benevolent overlords have kind of covered up this tech, and that's what I think the actual flying saucers are and all these different things. I think this is it's a different way of understanding energy. It's a different way of understanding physics, and we've been taught this kind of limited way to view stuff to kind of keep us poor and stupid and behind the curveball.
Yep.
And so I don't like the aliens approach because I kind of feel like it violates Occam's razor. You know, you're assuming a new variable just to explain these anomalies, and I'm like, well, even evolutionists believe in like 4 extinction eras or 4 extinction events. So everybody agrees that there was a catastrophe. So maybe we should figure out the world, how the world was before the catastrophe, before we start assuming aliens. That would be my point. So, all right. So anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Nope. It's all pretty weird, though.
It's pretty weird. Of course, there's also the possibility that this is like that cloning hoax that happened 20 years ago where they're like, we're going to present the evidence, guys, and then they never present the evidence. And that's always a possibility, too. I kind of doubt it, but, you know, we'll see.
We will see.
So, Trevor, do you want to read the last of the comments, then we'll move on?
Aliens.
That was the last comment? Okay.
Let's see, how far back do I go? The pharaohs could have went rogue, and he took it. Just said, I know a woman who was struck by ball lightning in 2013.
Really?
We might have to hear that story.
It's very uncommon nowadays,
Yeah.
comparatively.
And then Fulcrum said, a big zap and everything is dead. And then Jen said, we all would have life sabers. Whatever those swords are called, aliens, Elohim, and Khazaranians, Palajarans. I've not heard of that one.
I don't know what that means.
And then just said, aliens just dismisses human ingenuity and then impact of lost knowledge.
Khazarians? Oh, yeah.
I agree. We do not give our predecessors enough credit. You know, we always think that we're evolving and getting better, but I think compared to our ancestors, we're stupid. So,
well, the aliens thing is just another distraction to keep us. Oh, what are aliens? You know?
Yeah. Fear campaign.
Yeah. Give us a mysterious other that we can fight whenever they want to set up their global government.
You will eat the bugs and you will be happy.
You will eat the bugs. That's another Bond villain, but, you know, it's all just, you know, stupidity, guys. It's not malice at all. We're ran by Bond villains, but they're just dumb. So
aliens just dismiss human. Oh, and then she just said it's similar to calling people stupid. It just dismisses everything.
Yeah.
So, well, there you go.
Aliens are fake and gay.
All right.
Or gay and fake.
That too.
Well, we've got one more cover tonight because I think as a good transition, some of us believe that aliens are actually demons. And Trevor has found a video about demons that I know nothing about. So I'm very interested to see. Yes. Oh, yes. Panspermia. That's a good one. The aliens seeded life on Earth somehow. Or an asteroid. Panspermia.
Break that word down. Pan? Who's Pan?
Greek god of hedonism, basically.
Okay. Sperm?
Yeah, we know what sperm is. What's Ea, Cody?
I don't know. E-I-E-I-O. Old MacDonald had a farm. It was called the world.
Okay.
That farmer's name was Pan.
Yeah.
Gia.
So
he put sperm everywhere. Sorry.
Anyway.
Oh.
Well, on that wonderful note, F sharp, by the way. So
F sharp.
Okay.
Do you want to end this episode and then we'll move on?
Yep, we're gonna end this episode, move on, and we're gonna talk about Ammon or something. So, all right, we're not leaving. This is just the end of episode 3. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, Trevor, since this is your baby, I think you should...
Baby.
Yes, your baby.
Baby. Are we
your
baby
panspermia baby?
I don't even know who that is.
Oh my goodness.
This is getting PG-13, guys. So
yeah, it sure is. Yeah. That song was rough, wasn't it?
Which song?
The song I sang about old panspermia.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate thing. Thank you for that.
Now we're on a series of unfortunate events.
Oh, goodness.
All right. So,
You guys
Teach
ready?
that version of the kiddos just says.
Trevor, will you sign us in, please?
Hello, sign in.
That was close.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Oh, that look. I love that look, Gary. I gotta go for that look every time.
There you go.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, the Triad podcast, where we try not to mess things up. And today I've got Cody and Gary with me. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
So great.
Heck yeah. And today we're going to talk about the Ars Goetia, or however you say it, and the 72 demons of the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Oh man, this is a big subject. Do you know that, Trevor?
Yeah, and so since we talked about Amon on one of our previous videos, I figured that's where we could start.
All right. Well, we'll start with demon number 7.
At
Ammon.
420.
At 420. Ammon. This demon's a pothead.
Ammon, the seventh spirit, is a marquis who governs over 40 infernal legions. He can change into the shape of a man, but he appears like a wolf with a serpent.
Huh?
How many
side by side?
How many are in a legion?
Isn't it 1,000 or 100? I don't remember which.
It's like going off the Roman numbers. It's 5,500 is in one legion.
Oh, I wasn't even close. Okay.
So 5,500 times 40.
Do you have a side by side of that Ammon guy?
No, I didn't think to do that. That's a good idea, Gary.
All right, you want me to do a side by side with
No.
Ammon Hillman?
No,
Okay.
we don't have to do that.
All right, all right. Okay, here we go.
Just a food for thought.
Serpent's tail, vomiting flames of fire. His name comes from the god Amun, a major...
Can I just say the term flames of fire is stupid and redundant?
It was.
I just
Flames of fire.
Flames of fire.
It's like
Wait,
water
pause
of wetness. So.
Water of wetness.
Oh, we are paused. Apparently, Jess said goodnight. I have to put my little angel to bed. You
Bye,
guys
Jess.
enjoy your demon talk. See you, Jess.
All right, good night, Jess. Thank you.
Good time to leave.
Yeah, thanks for
Thanks
for joining
for
us.
being
Appreciate
here.
it.
Yeah.
I love my wife. All right, here we go.
Egyptian deity. Duke Barbatos, the eighth spirit, grants the ability to understand
looks
the
like
singing of birds,
Ganon.
the barking of dogs, and
Yeah.
Can I get some background? Where are these names coming from?
The Ars Goetia. Asia. However you say it.
And what
It's
is that?
It's
Yeah, go
apocryphal
ahead, Cody.
book, right? The
Yeah.
Keys of Solomon. It's
Yeah,
like or the whatever it's called. It's an apocryphal book.
Okay.
It's like
It's
not
in-
canonized.
Do we have
Yeah, I
a
don't
year
remember.
for it? Like when it came out? Do we have
It's older than everything else.
older than
It's like
everything
3,000
else?
years old.
Yeah, I believe it was a book written along with around the book of Enoch, around that same time.
Well,
Oh,
the
it can't
Book
be
of
that
Enoch-
old. Solomon wasn't around for another 1,000 years. I think it's like 3,000 years old.
I'm gonna look
Oh,
this
okay.
up. A Book of Enoch was Maccabees era.
Ars Goetia. Let me look it up.
I'm gonna pull. Yeah, Ars. I don't know how to spell that. Ars Goetia. When was it written? All right. So, Ars Goetia, the first, the first book of the Lesser Key of Solomon, also known as Lamageddon, was compiled in the mid-17th century, drawing from material several centuries older. Okay, so compilation time was compiled mid-17th. Source material, the text was compiled from materials that were several centuries older. Well, you just said that. Anonymous author, so we don't know who wrote it. It's about demonology. It describes 72 demons and their seals. So it just sounds like this thing crept up from, what's it, the 1600s? So this would have been a medieval book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's claiming to be from other things older, but we don't know what those things were.
Yeah.
So...
that is what it says. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was right wrong.
My money's on some kind of, like, you know...
Bullshit?
Yeah, basically. Some sort of medieval cult thing.
Pretty hefty bullshit. I'm just gonna... I've looked into this stuff quite a bit.
Okay, well,
Oh, yeah.
well, let's see. Let's see how hefty we get. We've got a demon duke. What is he the duke of? I don't know. Let's find out.
I mean, I've seen this video. It's kind of vague on everything, but
oh, is it?
It is interesting because you see like, I pick up little things like that bird looking like the guy. Like they got the same eyes.
Amon Homan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see stuff that I can put into reality, like I do with the Bible.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, no, I saw this video and I was like, hey, we talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
That
whole almond thing, it's got me a little skeptical of, ending my prayers like that. You know what I mean?
Ending your prayers like what?
With the name of a demon.
Amen's different than Amon.
Okay.
What do you mean okay? They're different syllables.
Yeah. Not
one's
Latin.
E, one's
They're all
an O.
interchangeable.
Huh?
You get into the Latin, they kind of interchange their vowels there.
Okay. I mean, I'm kind of skeptical about the Almighty going, hey, you said the name of a demon at the end of the prayer. It doesn't count, goofball.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I mean, I just like, it's it's a weird thought. Just saying.
Yeah. It's like a Rorschach painting. It's like looking at an ink block. What do you see? A demon. It's all demons. Everything. They're all demons.
Every rock.
It's like me saying it's CIA. It's all CIA.
It's all the CIA.
Of waters. He can reveal hidden treasures that have been hidden by the enchantment of magicians. Like Amun, he too helps friends and those who hold power to reconcile. Before he was cast out.
Wait.
This dude looks like Ganon from Zelda, bro. I mean, straight up.
I know. It's probably because AI did a knockoff of Ganon. But
It could have.
So these demons help people reconcile?
You need to watch this whole video.
I'm really
and kinda-
lost. Like, what are demons like different than the demons in the Bible according to this? Like, what's the deal? Because it sounds like they're just talking about demigods.
I took away from it like each demon being a specific energy or behavior pattern that creates an energy.
So, okay.
Like if you
like the personification of a concept.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't have said that better.
That's all right. No, all right. I think I got you.
Of heaven, Barbatos belonged to the angelic order of virtues. Paimon, the ninth spirit, holds a king's title. He's described as a handsome man riding a camel, preceded by...
That would not have been my description.
It doesn't look like a camel at all.
It looks like a Smurf. Like if the Smurfs had a religion, I would have pictured that.
Yeah.
Men playing loud music and clashing cymbals. Sometimes here his camel wears a crown. He can teach all arts, philosophies, and sciences, and other secret things. He knows all affairs of the world, making him one of the most intelligent and knowledgeable of the demons. Taman can rekindle friendships. He is quite obedient to Lucifer.
Hey, look, an ad!
We're adding to the ads.
Beer?
President
Beer.
Buer, the 10th spirit, governs over 50 legions of
Buer.
demons. He is a cultured
Viewer. Here.
Right? Oh, no.
with an elevated sense of knowledge in philosophical subjects. He teaches natural and moral philosophy, logic, and herbal medicine.
Okay, hang on. demons teaching moral philosophy. So these are not demons
Well,
the way that this is not demonology. Like this is
remember what demons are. They were angels, right? And they were cast out of heaven. So the energies that they possess aren't necessarily malevolent unless they were cast from heaven, like
but they were
the
fired.
energy that they were given.
But they were fired.
Just because they corrupted the energy that they were given doesn't mean the energy that they were given is bad.
Out of rebellion, now they're teaching God's people.
And to give someone a moral compass is demonic because God is the only moral compass.
Wait. So you can't teach morality, otherwise you're a demon?
No, because I don't think you know what morality is. Only God does.
And if you have full faith in God to heal you, you don't need to learn how to heal.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't understand what anybody is saying right now. Okay, let me think.
You have no morality, Gary. Are you good?
No, I'm not.
Okay, only the
good.
Father is good.
Right, but he still told us what right and wrong is through the Bible. So why would you say that you're not supposed to know what right and wrong is?
Because in the original story, before Adam ate the fruit, he had all his faith in God, and God had already given him all the knowledge. So when he ate the fruit, he turned from God and became...
He took morality into his own hands.
Took it in.
Yes, and he got it wrong. Hence the reason we needed to be taught.
And so we needed to be
the
taught
Bible.
by angels.
Why? Well,
you don't need to be taught. You already have it.
Yeah.
Well, no, he didn't already have it. I mean, he wouldn't have necessarily needed it in the garden because God was there to talk to him directly about that stuff. So they had an interaction. Then they fell. And so we had
because
to be
he took
taught
morality into his own hands.
He didn't take morality. He listened to the devil. That's not taking morality into your own hands.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't. Like
it's literally
unless you're defining taking morality into your own hands, it's just a generic
This demon we're
choice.
talking about was here to teach morality or whatever. That's his charge, right?
But yes, but it wouldn't be morality.
Okay,
it would be
what
like
did
the
Adam
teachings
do?
of a demon.
Adam listened to the devil.
Yes, because the devil lied about what God said.
So would this demon that we're specifically
So it's not
talking
morality then, because it's not correct.
about. I know, that's what I'm saying. Only God knows the correct morality.
Yes, but that doesn't mean correct morality is unknowable because God gave us the Bible.
God gives you your decisions in the moment. You stay out of your head.
I don't agree with that. I think you have external sources of knowledge. I
guess
you
you're
have the
perfect
scripture.
then. Are you perfect?
No, but just because
Okay.
I don't understand the Bible, that just testifies to my incompetence, not that the Bible is wrong.
Just quit trying to understand the Bible. God will give you the knowledge you need in the moment.
You
if you
can't
stay out of
get
your
the
head.
knowledge you need in the moment if you don't try to understand the Bible. Like, you have to make an effort.
Read it, but not to remember.
Read it, but not... What?
Now that's
What?
confusing.
Yeah.
But why would you read it if you're not going to try
Because-
to remember it?
It's all about staying in the moment, dude. That's what Jesus said.
Dude, I'm going to be really blunt. This sounds like cookie cutter Eastern philosophy. The cookie is neither here nor it is there. The cookie is in your mind,
Right.
and there is no spoon. Believe in the
There is
wetness
no
of water
spoon.
and the flaminess of fire.
The flaminess of fire, yes. When you hear demons are thoughts, in my opinion, when you hear a thought trying to give you your morality instead of living in the moment and taking your situations as they come, you are listening
What makes
to a
you
demon.
think living in the moment is morality?
Because that's what Jesus said.
No, he didn't.
Over and
I
over.
promise you, he never said that at any point in the gospel.
What did he say?
No, it's not. I'm not the one
He
that
said,
has to have
does
the
he
burden
say,
of
did he
proof.
say,
You need to give
read
me
the
a
Bible?
scripture.
Did Jesus say, read the Bible
Yes,
every day?
He said, have you not read the scriptures, implying the Pharisees were idiots for not reading the scriptures?
Because they were trying to catch him on his knowledge of the Bible.
No, he was saying that they were using their own traditions instead of the scriptures. which basically assumes the fact that you need to read the scriptures in order to distinguish them from human traditions.
All right, you win, I lose.
Well, thank you. That was very big of you, sir. Trevor, do you want to read the comments?
Oh, wow. Hey, Jen. LMFAO, Amun-Ra, Amun-Ra, Umun-Ra.
A moon rock. A moon rock? A moon rock.
We're mooning
What
the Ra. Amen. Yeah, yes. Demigod. Which demigod? Commercial, LOL, and it was taught to us.
Jen, are you drunk?
Taught
Jen's
how to
drunk.
make weapons, makeup, all the things we're not supposed to know. Oh, I'm smiling now. Why didn't God know? Know what?
Why not you?
Why not you know what he knows?
Jen's drunk.
Eve ate the fruit. No. Women ate the fruit, and then then Adam named woman Eve.
Yeah. Moral of the story is don't listen to women. I'm just kidding.
Yes, that's the
Sort of.
takeaway.
Listen to God.
Then women.
Who you can't understand, so...
No, God is understanding. Shower thoughts, bro. Shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts? Oh, okay. When I'm in the shower, I just hear they'll say autopsy at my autopsy, and that's just on a loop in my head. So is there divine truth in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those shower thoughts become flood thoughts.
Flood thoughts.
I hate these puns. I hate them.
Well, that was not a pun. I can give you a pun. You ready?
I don't want one. No.
Do you need a boat? Do you need a boat?
No, I don't.
I know a guy.
I hate you so much.
Oh, I know a guy.
He's an architect.
And
Architect. Oh my gosh, it keeps getting worse. Architect.
I hate this. I hate this. We're moving on.
Did that go too far?
What a mess.
What a mess.
Demonology to dad jokes.
says she is not drunk. She is trying to
Okay.
listen to this cluster F of a conversation.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jen. I was being rash.
And yes, Eve ate the fruits, then Adam. Yes. Which God told them not to do. So, okay. Let's learn more about these demons that are teaching morality. Good night.
He is known to heal diseases. He has a strange appearance, described as having a lion's head and 5 goats' legs around his body that allow him to walk in every direction.
What a perfectly useless skill.
Duke Goetia, the 11th demon, can provide answers about past, present, and future events. He is depicted as a baboon, or according to some, in the form of a cynocephalus, that is, dog-headed. He reconciles friendships and grants honor and dignity. He can answer any question asked by the magician. He rules over 40 legions of demons. The 12th spirit is Citri. He is depicted as a leopard with the wings of a griffin, but at the request of the conjurer can take the form of a...
Did he teach us lemonade? Citri, lemonade? You guys are doing bad puns, so I thought I'd join in.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was above my pay
was it?
grade.
Don't
Sorry.
lie to me. Don't lie to me.
That one was a little sour, sorry.
It was a little sour.
How did you get good at those? Dad gum.
I bought a book. I'll have to bring it next time.
Jin says, tossed out of Eden, then those gods taught us how to make weapons and other things we not need to learn about. And yes, we on point. So I think that's Enoch, isn't it? The angels came down, and after they slept with the women, they started teaching us stuff like how to make weapons and such, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Which is why I thought it might have come off of, like, you know, along with the Book of Enoch.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, I'm tracking.
But I was wrong, apparently.
Well, I mean, this is the most unintimidating demon ever. You've got
He's cute, isn't he?
What's
He's
that?
like,
Guppy
meow.
fins for a goldfish, and it's like half like a cat. And then you've got are those? I guess those are scales.
I'm pretty sure these are all AI images.
Well,
and
this-
AI
Oh, probably.
is Satan, so they could be shockingly accurate.
This
you
is
know?
a very disappointing demon if AI is a demon, because this just looks goofy.
A kitty cat man with wings. He looks like he's out of Narnia.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Griffin.
Yeah, like a knockoff
Very
of something like
beautiful
that.
or handsome man. He can cause lust and erotic love, making men to love women and vice versa. Holding a
See,
prince's
that's what I figured a demon would do, but okay.
rank, he is associated with igniting passions. He is a powerful prince of hell with 60 legions under his command. King Beleth, the 13th demon, is a powerful leader in the underworld, with 85 legions of demons under his command. He's often portrayed as a cat and is known for making people fall in love. He rides a war horse, and a variety of music plays before he appears.
So
Amun
cats are
can
evil.
predict the future and reckon.
I didn't need
Kinda
this
the
book to tell me that.
The gist of the
Yeah.
the video here.
And apparently demons are Smurfs, because most of these guys have been blue. And that's kind of been my take.
Or they're ice
they're-
giants.
They're so
Like Loki.
blue from being kicked out of heaven.
There you go.
Because they're out of breath.
They're out of breath.
Yeah.
Reconcile controversies.
I'm spreading all that
He helps
morality.
friends and enemies to reconcile and brings about love. He can also enable the magician to summon and interrogate the spirits of those who drowned at sea. Beleth tries to frighten the magician, who has summoned him by first appearing fierce. This is to see if the magician is courageous. To command Beleth, the conjurer has to be brave and not show fear.
Because demons feed off fear.
Marquis
We know that,
Lorahai
don't we,
is
Gary?
the 14th demon and has 30 legions of demons under his power. He is depicted as a gallant and
Hey, he's
handsome
blue.
archer dressed in green, carrying a bow
Why
and quiver.
so?
He's known for causing wars and conflicts. He also putrefies all arrow wounds. Eligor, the 15th demon of the underworld, is a great duke of hell. He appears like a knight in armor, riding a strong horse. Ruling 60 legions of demons, Eligor finds hidden secrets and solutions to problems.
This is the one thing so many creators miss with their content. Sound. Audio is half of video, and it adds...
No, it's not.
The most demonic thing I've seen in these videos so far have been the ads. I just want to point that out. So
Well, that adds up.
Dadgummit, Trevor.
Wonder if Malak and Baal be on the list. Spelling don't do.
Yeah, they're
well.
in there.
Yeah, I think we may have.
They're like one of the first ones.
Are they?
Ball? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Baal. Is it Baal or Baal?
It goes either way.
I call it ball because I think everything with a ball, like the globe and the basketball and football, they're all there as distractions. So it's like to keep your mind occupied or entrapped. So that's ball.
Gotcha.
The demon.
Gotcha.
Duke Zepar is the 16th
Red!
demon, typically depicted
We have another
with
color!
red clothes and armor, like a soldier.
It's an alien.
He's famous for making men and women fall deeply in love with each other. As a
Okay, well now all the demons have the same job. It's like they just all make everybody burn with passion. Okay.
Yeah.
Duke, he can make women barren, and while he brings people together in love, he also stops families from growing. He commands 26 legions of inferior spirits, commanding 60 legions of demons. President Bodis is the 17th on the list. He's often described as a large viper, but he can also transform into a human with large teeth, 2 horns, and a bright, fiery sword in hand. With a title as Grand as President, he has the
That's a
ability
staff,
to
not a
offer
sword.
insights about past events, the happenings of the present, and even glimpses into the future. He can mend broken bonds, reconcile friendships, and even calm tensions between enemies. Duke
Tomatoes,
Bathan,
tomatoes.
the 18th demon of the underworld, is pictured as a powerful figure riding a pale
Let's see if I
horse
can
with a
find
snake-like tail. This tale shows he's both wise and can be dangerous. He has great knowledge about herbs and special stones, which is why many people seek his advice. He's known for his unique skill, the ability to move people wherever they want to go. Because of his knowledge and this special power, he's a highly respected demon. He
It's a
rules
dragon
30
horse.
legions of demons.
Yeah, I know, right?
Cool. I want a dragon horse.
Duke Salos,
Or
the
a regular
19th
dragon
demon,
would be cool.
rules 30 legions of demons. He is portrayed as a soldier
Dragon on
riding
a
a
horse.
crocodile and wearing a ducal crown. Salos specializes in love. He has a pacifist nature and causes men and women to love one another.
Mean guy.
King Person, the 20th demon,
Do you think this guy who wrote this was suffering from some kind of acid trip? Or do you think like some
Well,
demon
like I
was like,
said-
"Oh yeah, we're gonna give you all the names of the demons." Sure. This guy's Salos. He's short. He does like, make live and fall in love and stuff. So I think a demon was screwing with this guy.
There's people today that, what are they called? People who cast
Soothsayers?
out demons. People who cast out
exorcists?
demons.
Exorcists? Yeah, exorcists.
They talk about the names of demons all the time.
Dude, that freaking guy that we were watching, what's his name?
Nanamon, the priest.
Yeah.
Oh, the priest. Which one?
Bob
Larson. Bob Larson, yeah.
Bro,
Bob
he
Larson.
called him out immediately. He just like recognized which demon it was.
Yeah, he probably knows.
Because he knows all this shit.
He probably has his own list of these demons, and he knows all of them by heart.
He saw right through that guy.
So you think these are legitimate demon names then?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I am extremely skeptical about that. How would you know? Like, how would you know that you're getting like demons are
Behavior
defined?
patterns.
Demons are defined by the fact that they lie. It's like their chief attribute. Satan's the father of lies. So how could you trust anything that these things tell you?
Well, I mean, watch the conversation between Bob Larson and the almond dude again. I mean, like he called him out on his name, and he's like, "Oh no, I made it up. It was my middle name, and somebody else told me to call myself that," and all this bullshit.
Well, I would argue that he's trying to play the academic in that realm a little bit. He's trying to act like the bigger man. And so if he sits there and says, I picked
He's lying.
I know, yeah, he's lying. If he sits there and says, I picked this because it's from the Amalekites or whatever, and I'm basically declaring that I'm on the side of the devil. If he says that in a conversation about like the origins of Scripture, he loses his validity. He's not going to be he's not going to have any authority if he's clearly hostile to the Bible, but he's wanting to talk about the origins of the Bible. If he sits there and says, "Oh yeah, Christ had, all these disciples that were underaged. By the way, my name is based off of a demon." Nobody's going to believe him. So in that conversation, he kind of had to play somewhat academic, which is why he bowed up. When, Bob Larson, knowing this demonology, knowing these terms, realized that he'd chosen that name because it was a demonic name. Does that make sense, or am I being confusing?
No, I don't understand your point.
I'm saying he didn't want to say that he chose the name Amen because of its demonic connotation, because he was trying to give validity to his claims about the Bible. And Bob Larson called him out. Because his daddy didn't love him, in my opinion. But yeah, he's in league with Satan for whatever reason. That's why he chose the name.
I don't understand your argument.
I'm saying basically just because the guy's name is Amen doesn't mean that there's actually a demon named Amen. He probably chose that name because of its negative connotation, not because there's actually a demon that has the name Amen.
But why would he lie? You just answered that.
Was that a demon?
What you just did?
No,
Maybe.
There's like some sort of low growl. I was like,
Oh, that's my dog.
Okay, I was like, Eamon's in the room with you, Cody. Get out.
No, I don't know. I mean, it's a demon's behavior to lie, and you can see the guy clearly lying.
Oh
So
yeah, he's definitely lying.
Just saying.
We're in agreement on that. He's lying. I'm skeptical about there being this like. It's not
think
that,
it's
well,
all fake.
it's not so much that I'm skeptical about the idea of there being a hierarchy. I just don't know how you would know. Like, how could you find
Because
this
the
information
behavior
out?
patterns.
Well, this is going
Like
a little.
you see it in reality.
The name
You find the information. You say, oh, okay, this demon has these behavior patterns, and then you see other people that look like the actual fucking demon, and then they're like emulating that same set of behavior patterns, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, there's something here.
Okay, so like what you're
literally
saying,
that simple.
like what you're saying is because Eamon Hillman looks suspiciously like that bird thing, there might be
Yeah.
something to this idea that this
Well,
is
not
like
just
a
because of
legitimate
that.
hierarchy.
Because he's defending his name, he's lying clearly. That's a demonic behavior pattern. I mean, yeah, it's a multitude of things.
I am just very skeptical that there would be a way to find that there is a specific demon called King Person that you could like actually
Sure.
know
Yeah.
that there's a demon that exists like that. Because
Until
where
you
would you
see
get
it
that
in somebody.
information? Like where
The
would
Lesser
you?
Keys of Solomon at this point. I don't know.
Well, I know the Lesser Kings. Yeah, where did the author of that book get this information?
I don't know.
That's my point. I'm like, demons are known for the fact that they lie. So how could you trust anything that a demon tells you about a demonic hierarchy? And why would the demon tell you that in the first place?
Who's the demon?
Well,
that's telling
I'm
you?
assuming that the guy who wrote this book
Is a demon?
No, got in contact with demons or something, or
Like Solomon?
Yeah, like Solomon or whoever, got into contact with a demon or something, and some demon told him this. If you are to believe the account, like if this is a true account at all, personally, I think the guy probably was on a shroom trip. But if it was true, or if these events actually happened, and somebody really did find something that told him about this demonic hierarchy, how could that person actually trust the information given to him, assuming he got it from a demon? Because I don't know where else you would get it. Like,
I mean, if you look into the Lesser Keys of Solomon, it explains that, because I mean, Solomon basically, his whole thing was he wanted control of the demons, so he would find out what they didn't like, and what they wanted, and he would subvert them and like pry information out of them, and that's where all this supposedly came from.
yeah, but I'm skeptical about the idea of like subverting or bending a demon to your will to make it do what you want. Like,
I mean, that's what Screw Tape Letters is about, right?
Yeah.
well, the screw tape's the other way around. The demon's manipulating the person.
Yeah, but it gives you the power to do that back to the demon. That's the whole point.
No, I think that's part of the ruse. I think these demons act like they're under control until they actually end up controlling you. I think they act. It's the same reason that they pretend to be your grandma. They want to find a way to to create a situation where you will let them in.
Yeah, but it's your job to know that, and so you impart the will of God within yourself, and that takes control of the demon.
But do you really think you can outwit an entity that's been alive for thousands and thousands of years?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you think that you could outwit a demon that's been alive way longer than you and has seen every form of duplicity you could imagine?
Because demons always go for they don't have any power unless you give it to them. It's all like it's consent, and you have to condone selfish behavior to give them power.
Well, it's not just consent. I mean, or direct consent, I should say. I mean, it's sin. It's giving in to, bad impulses and that kind of thing. But then again, the Bible tells us not to even talk to these things. And so if you're talking to them, you're sitting there, and that by itself could leave a door open.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I tell you to quit thinking all the time.
But that's how I know not to use a Ouija board.
By thinking about it?
Yes, by thinking through the idea. Okay, God doesn't want me talking to demons. Ouija boards are a way to talk to demons. Therefore, I shouldn't use a Ouija board to talk to demons. Right. I had to think to get there.
I would say that's more of an understanding, though.
Well, then what do you mean by think?
Entertaining selfish thoughts. Like, oh, if I do this, it'll do this to me, and like stop thinking about it.
How is that a selfish thought? That's just
because you're thinking about yourself.
A chain of reaction. Like, that's just thinking about cause and consequence. That's not like when you say selfish. Like, selfish is like doing something for yourself at the
Self-concerned.
expense of somebody else. Well, God gave you a survival instinct. That's self-concern.
Well, that could be just the biggest trick the devil ever pulled, right?
No, because you're supposed to want to not die. That would be preferable to dying.
No, you're supposed to want to give your authority to God.
You
and
do
only
have
what
to be
he
alive
wants.
to do that, though.
Yeah, I guess. But God keeps the birds alive. He'll keep you alive.
Yes, but not if you throw yourself off a cliff.
Wait, the only reason you would do that is because you're inside your own head thinking about jumping off a cliff.
Or you're like, well,
You're
I
like,
don't
"Oh,
want to
I'm
be
just-
selfish, so I shouldn't live anymore.
Right, that's stupid.
Well, you shouldn't think about that, Cody. You should think
Yeah,
about how stupid
right,
it is,
stop
because that's
thinking. You
selfish.
stay out of your head.
Or you're a mindless sheep, and you're just like, I'm gonna wander over here and eat this green grass by this mountain.
Yes, we could exist as sheep, mindless sheep, walking and wondering why the wolf is eating us. That's true too.
Because it's the will of God.
The will of God.
So you shouldn't fight the wolf because it's the will of God?
He'll leave the 99 to
You're
get
just
the one.
screwing with me right now, man.
Yeah, a little bit,
little
but not.
bit.
I mean, I still agree with myself, I guess, which sounds retarded.
We need
Isn't that selfish? Don't you mean selfish?
I think
when
it
you
is.
agree
I
with
think it is.
yourself.
a video on the Codex Gigas.
Oh.
No, we're not doing that.
I don't know what the Codex Gigas is.
It's supposedly a book that this dude, he got caught in this like super bad prison, and he was supposed to die the next day, and he's like made a deal with the guard. He's like, if I write the Bible in one night, will you let me out? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he wrote the Bible in one night. He had to impart the help of the devil, and it's like the biggest book in the whole world. And nobody can read it because it's written in gibberish.
Well, if that had happened, then he would have just been killed because he wrote gibberish instead of the Bible.
And thus the Church of Satan was born.
It's huge. It's like it's one of the most impressive manuscripts ever written.
Well, I mean, but if it doesn't say anything,
Is that right, Trevor? Does it not say anything?
I don't know.
Isn't it like in a different language, like a angelic language or some bullshit?
Jen brought it up, so I was like, oh, yeah.
I just don't know anything
Oh, okay.
about it. I'm just hearing all this stuff for the first time and reacting. So, anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting story, but
All right, let's look up one more of these goofballs and then call it a night, huh? I mean, demons.
All right.
So, all right,
okay.
what's next after King Person? We'll do one more.
Wait, just go to the end to the last one.
The last one? Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the last one? Seer?
No, the one right after that. That one.
Yeah.
Okay. Dantalion.
The seventh
Dantalion.
demon is Dantalion.
That's a Pokemon.
Powerful demon.
That's all right.
He appears as a man with several male and female faces. Dantalion holds a book in his right hand, symbolizing his link to knowledge. He bestows knowledge in all arts and sciences, reveals deep secrets, and can influence anyone's thoughts. He can also foster love, replicate anyone's appearance, and present visions of them, regardless of their location. He commands 36 legions of spirits.
Oh.
Dromalus?
Count Andromalius, the 72nd demon, is a powerful Earl who's depicted as a man holding a big snake. He can retrieve stolen items,
That's me.
find the thief, reveal deceit or hidden wrongdoings,
You're a big snake?
and punish those
No,
who
I'm a
commit
man holding a
crime.
big snake.
He
Sorry.
can also locate
Oh.
hidden treasures. He leads 36 legions of spirits. And there you have it, every demon mentioned in the Ars Goetia. These 72 demons...
Well, if you're interested, the video is by the YouTube channel Symbol Sage. And the video is Every Demon from the Ars Goetia. 72 demons of the Lesser Key of Solomon. So, all right.
All right.
Yep.
Do we have any final thoughts, gentlemen?
That was
Thoughts are
finally
evil.
thought of.
You're killing me, man.
That means we killed it tonight, didn't we?
We killed it tonight. So. There we go.
We killed it. We killed it. I hope everybody had a good time.
All right, I think so. Jen, thank you so much for being in the chat.
Thanks, Jen.
Fulcrum,
Thanks, Jen.
I don't remember your number. Fulcrum47, thank you very much for being in the chat. Guys, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all.
Good night.